Kuva 99. Hello, how are we? Are you good?
Yeah, good here, mate. Yeah, another Spurs weekend coming up, isn't it?
It is, and this is and hello everyone who's watching, by the way. Hello. Another bit of Friday therapy to discuss our beloved Tottenham Hotspur and all of the signings we've made. Let's get into it. Look, it's the last weekend before the transfer window shuts. So you would have liked to have thought we'd see some new players in by now. So far, we've got Danjuma on a loan basis. Just ignore Stu in the background. He's just having a little lick of his paws. You know, he can't wait for the upcoming transfers this weekend. I'm sure we'll have 4 or 5 of them. Danjuma's through the door, Kuva, and the Pedro. Let's jump straight into it. The Pedro Porro deal. You said something to me just, backstream where you said, we've been monitoring this guy, it seems like since his inception. Have you ever known a club like it? I mean, how difficult can this be to get this transfer over the line?
I suppose you could make a comparison with Arsenal over the last few years. They've been struggling to get things over the line as well. But us, we're next level. We set the bar for it. It doesn't matter how low the numbers involved. Always got to haggle it, no matter what.
Mental.
It's kind of people saying about that there's a lot of negative stereotyping going towards Daniel Levy because he's Jewish, but some of it he lives up to, doesn't it? The stereotypes or penny pinching stuff. Unfortunately, it's that kind of subject you don't really want to be saying it, even though it is true in many ways. So we're just, it's same every single time, isn't it? There's always an issue with structuring the finances so we get the most out of it and the other team somehow loses. It's almost like it's got to be a competition with him. He's got to win a transfer rather than just have a mutual agreement. Yeah.
Right. It feels like it's a game. Every single transfer feels like it is, as you said, it is, I won that deal because I got this and they didn't want to give me this. I mean, most clubs they've identified Porro as their first choice right wing back. Because I haven't seen any bids go in for any other right wing backs. No one else has been mentioned, I don't think. This is your guy. They've told us £39 million, he is yours. And it is, look, I'm going to bring up one of Romano's many, Fabrizio Romano's one of his many tweets in the last sort of 27 days about Pedro Porro to Tottenham. And I just find this embarrassing. Not his tweet, by the way, but this. Pedro Porro to Tottenham, a matter of time. I mean, look, Jesus Christ. Later on, it will be Pedro Porro to Tottenham, inching closer. He said all parties expect the deal to be completed and then officially sealed by the end of the weekend. Tottenham and Sporting will meet via intermediaries also today to sort the final details. I mean,
we're announcing stuff before it's done. Not for the first time. Anybody will remember this with when we were around saw that William deal collapse.
Oh,
that was all done and dusted. He was on his way, holding up the shirt, except for he wasn't actually there holding up the shirt, was he?
Yeah. I mean, something I was talking with Henry yesterday, and anyone who doesn't know, Henry and I do work together, so you can imagine how much football gets talked about in our office. And I said to him, I might have said this to you earlier in the week, even when this deal gets done, I've lost all excitement for the deal now. Like, now it's not, wow, we've signed a new right wing back. Now it's, at last. Like, isn't that I don't know if that's just me, people in the chat. Anyone else feel like that? Does that make me a bad fan?
Kind of that promise of you sit down on an aircraft and they say, oh, it's a nice chilled champagne coming round. You think, oh, that'll do nicely.
Yeah.
And then you have to wait an hour and a half and it's flat and warm.
Yeah. We'll be bringing your hot meal round in about an hour. 2 hours later, everyone's pressing their bell going, sorry, when's the food coming out? But I've just lost now. I've lost all excitement for the transfer. It's different. If we woke up tomorrow morning and you see Spurs have signed, I don't know, I'm just chucking the name out there, Milan Skriniar, James Maddison, you go, yeah. This now just feels that it's dragged on so long that I'm not even bothered. Like, I'm not even bothered by it.
It's the fact that so many of the fan base are saying, well, have we signed him yet? We've been here before and it's not happened. We're not even sure. It's like we do the VAR of transfers. You think it's over the line, but then something pulls it back at the last minute and then scrutinise a few little details. Oh, it's chalked off again. That is us all over. I mean, it's sickening. You watch, like, I know we haven't got that kind of money that Chelsea are spending. I wouldn't expect us to. But it's sickening to see them, how quickly they get deals done. Chelsea are linked with somebody, then it appears on the official sort of forums. The next day it's done. He's holding up the shirt. We have to be, there has to be a hint of being linked with him in one transfer window, then a further hint of it, Spurs are then interested in another window. A year and a half later, 2 years later, put in a bid for it, that maybe put in a bid for him. Then they're on to another transfer deal because obviously that's too much. I think it's bullshit for the sake of bullshit. Perhaps it's a ploy with Paratici, but you'd have to say we've always done this. Always, since Levy's been here.
Yeah, it's just terrible, isn't it? And I think what makes it worse for me, people in the chat, let us know what you think. Are we excited still for the Porro deal? Or has it been diluted for you, so to speak? It makes it worse for me that we're seeing other clubs, they just go and get stuff done. Like, I feel like Wolves every couple of days seem to be plucking out a signing. You know, Nottingham Forest, Nottingham Forest are in talks, done. Leeds, done. Villa, done. And there's Tottenham Hotspur with the seventh richest club in football and all of these massive profits. Still, 27 days later, haven't spent a penny in the transfer market. It's like
you don't get press announcements at other clubs about transfers like we do. Ours could literally have the word in the middle of it somewhere.
Yeah. And it's just flashed up that Newcastle are close to agreeing a fee with Everton for Gordon. Not saying I want him, but again, I bet you that doesn't take another 3 weeks to get over the line.
Good young player, a lot of pace. We could have used somebody like that as well.
Yeah. Well, look, it seems a lot. Look, I want to talk a couple of people that Henry actually brought up with me yesterday that I just wanted to run past you and see what your thoughts were on this. Look, everyone knows we need a centre-half, right? Everyone probably knows we need 2 centre-halves, in all honesty. And one of the names being banded about yesterday was Spurs are going to try and cut short Connor Cody's loan deal at Everton and bring him to Spurs. Now, look, whilst I think that will be an absolute ball ache and I can't imagine that we would get that done, we sort of differed on whether or not that would be a good signing for Spurs. I said to myself, well, I feel that when you look at Dyer, you look at Davis, you look at Sanchez, I think we could use a steady head like Connor Cody, a guy who plays in the middle, is used to a back three, a captain, a leader, and a talker. Now, Don't get me wrong, Kuva, I'm not sitting here going, Connor Cody is bang, but I'm comparing him to what we've got. What would your thoughts be on Connor Cody?
Yeah, same reasons you got, to be honest, mate. I see a more of a leader type character and that steadying influence at the back. I mean, going way back, it would be the likes of Steve Bruce did for Man United in a way. Wasn't necessarily the most spectacular player around. Didn't necessarily catch your eye, but he just facilitates the rest of the team. He's that rock to build on. I feel he's in that mould. Not the best in the world, but he's decent, isn't he? He's decent and reliable, and that's more than you can say about some of ours at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I don't think it's going to happen at all. I mean, we were talking about Kilman as well being an option. And for me, smart recruitment. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, you want the big names, but I think we talked about it the other day. As much as we'd like to see the bids go in, I just can't imagine that a Vardial or Skriniar, I can't imagine they want to join Tottenham Hotspur because they'll have better suitors. But for me, sensible recruitment is needed. Talking of centre-halves, I want to bring this up for you. We'll go back to Porro in a bit, but I want to bring this up. Now, I don't know how true this is, so obviously everything we talk about is pinch of salt. So the Spurs web have said, Nice have made an inquiry for Tottenham Hotspur defender Davinson Sanchez. That's very kind, isn't it, to call him a defender? However, the player is reluctant to leave the club this month. Now, I'm in a WhatsApp group where they're going backwards and forwards as to just go, get rid of him, pay him off, blah, blah, blah. Other people saying, well, hang on, he's probably on a very good salary at Tottenham Hotspur. Nice probably can't pay him what we can pay him. Why would you go? Where do you sit with that sort of thing in terms of offloading players that are on great wages that aren't that good and wouldn't get it elsewhere?
We've done this time and time again for a long time. I remember even back in the Pochettino era, where you saw summers where we're re-signing players over and over again, like increasing contracts. And you looked at the likes of Dele Alli and Eric Dyer and Ben Davis and that all getting contract extensions. And it was like every week a new one happening with Posh leaning over there for that special little screenshot they could have for the press. We've ended up with a load of mediocre players on massively inflated wages.
Yeah,
I think we're at the point now where we can't just keep cancelling contracts, although it's a possibility in some cases.
Yeah.
But if the likes of Davinson Sanchez, if what's holding him back from going is wages, we'll probably have to pay half or something like that. We've done it before. It's better to get something back on the player than just let him sit in the squad doing nothing. Or worse still, having a chance to get in the team and then doing worse than doing nothing.
It's crazy, isn't it, when you think about it? I mean, how long has Davinson Sanchez been at the club? 5 years?
Let's think.
I mean, he played with Jan and Toby, didn't he? Under
yeah,
Potter?
so it's at least 5.
Yeah,
it's more. I think it's more. It must be about 6 or 7 by now.
Let's have a look. This is crazy, isn't it? What's his name? Davinson Sanchez.
What's his name? That says it all.
Well, so he joined Tottenham. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is his 6th season at the club. And you think, what other club, like sort of Champions League pedigree, brings in a player and has them at the club for that long? I can think of maybe Phil Jones.
I was going to say the likes of Man United can afford to do it.
Yeah.
They can easily cover those kind of wages. For us, it makes no sense, does it?
No.
That's what I keep maintaining. I don't see the point in buying squad players. We've got to buy first team players. Then the others drop down. I think we're at that state where if we can just concentrate on getting a great first 11 and then rely on any academy players when we have holes, of course it's going to be a big drop down, but that's just the price you pay for it. It's better than having the likes of Sanchez to come on as a sub. I'd prefer to see one of the youngsters given a chance then. If we're in that state where we're that short on numbers, what's the point in an academy if you can never use them?
Yeah. Just quickly, my old mate, Billy Horrocks, I'm sorry, for me, Cody's a massive upgrade on Eric Dyer. I think he's a much better defender than Eric. I don't remember down the years people talking about Connor Cody mistakes week in, week out. I thought he was part of a very good defence at Wolves for years. Listen, again, I'm not saying he's the guy, but just would have been smart. And the fact that Everton got him on a loan.
Kind of like the likes of Craig Dawson as well, isn't it? Seasoned defender. He's just steady. He's never spectacular. Crops up with a couple of guys. In fact, I wouldn't mind him. He's a bit of a goal threat as well, him. Wouldn't mind him compared to the likes of Dyer anyway. That's it. Well, ideally, we should be aiming much higher, of course. So I think perhaps that's where Billy's coming from. It's not much of an upgrade. We should aim higher. We'd agree with that, I'm sure.
Cool. Yeah, listen, I think that the difficulty is sometimes when I talk about players joining Spurs, I do it, well, all the time I do it knowing who our owners are, yeah? I'd love to sit here and go, Kuva, we should be buying Bastoni. We should be buying Vardiel. We know it's not happening, right? So there's no point in speculating in it. Welcome to, sorry, I'm ahead of myself there. Sorry. OCD Whiskey has summed it up and said breaking news.
We're Soren, is it? Oh, no, can't see the picture too well.
We're close to... Is that Soren?
Well, it's whiskey in the title. It was just a reasonable guess, isn't it?
Yeah, he popped on the other day. He pops on.
Oh, yeah, he's good bloke, is Soren.
Yeah. Haven't seen him for ages. He said, breaking news, we are close to agreeing to have a meeting to discuss when we will have a meeting to decide when we will have the meeting to sign Porro. And
that's absolute nonsense. It's only verbal.
Exactly. Bone Stark, big up to yourself. Bone Star 2K, sorry, not Bone Stark. They said, where are the centre-backs? Yeah, my man, absolutely. Yeah. Where are the centre-backs? Jun plays football, so Davinson Sanchez get rid. I think we all agree on that. We give long contracts to unproven players.
Yeah.
I think what's worse for me, actually, I'll carry on in a second. New member, Top Spurs. Welcome to the Savva football community, of which Kuva is my number one cheerleader. So he doesn't know it yet.
I'm enjoying the channel.
I know.
I'm serious. I don't think I have.
No, you haven't. Horrible git. I think what's worse than the contracts we give the players initially, Kuva, is how many contract extensions have we given to bang average footballers?
Look no further than Ben Davis this season, and then could be talking Eric Dyer as well.
Right.
Says it all. Absolutely says it all. They should be replaced. They should be sitting on that bench, trying their best to earn a new contract. Not have it just given to them just because they're here.
Yeah, no, it's crazy, isn't it? You think you've got Davinson Sanchez must have had a new contract somewhere down the line. Davis, they're talking about Dyer's contract. I'm hearing Sessegnon. It's just mental. We keep giving contracts to these blokes.
Lamela. How long did we keep on to Lamela? I mean, I like Coco, but I mean, was he really a great player for us? No.
Yeah.
Gave us a few moments though, but is that worth constantly renewing a contract for that many years? No way. There's been so many. Lucas Moura, has he been worth his contract extensions? Not for me.
Lucas Moura's living off of that.
He gets away just because that one night, and I kind of, all right. He gets a pass.
Yeah, he's lived off that, hasn't he? Fair play to him, and milk it for all it's worth. Stephen Smith said, "Poor recruitment, poor due diligence, and we are left with average footballers." Yeah, it's not difficult, is it? Yes, it's me, Soren, confirming. Yes, it is. Big up to yourself, mate. John Ellishaw said, "Cody can actually read the game. Dyer can't read a book." It just baffles me how there are still Eric Dyer fans out there. Yeah.
Well, I said it the other day, just as a sort of shot way out there, sort of shot. If we're talking about replacing Hugo as captain, I wouldn't actually be adverse to giving Dyer a go as captain, just to see if you can get something out of him, the added responsibility. Because I don't see it either, but I don't see any natural leaders in the team.
Ishak has said, "Savva, have you heard the news that an English club has bid for Skriniar?" I haven't. I'm guessing it's not us. If it is, fair play.
If it's Arsenal, oh Jesus Christ!
Yeah, I mean, whoever gets him has got a top centre half. Yeah, and getting him for what? I think he's going for like 20 million, isn't he, at the moment?
Yeah. If it's the Gooners and they no, this can't be good. Newcastle, do they need him? Probably not.
Can you imagine those Skriniar and Botman together?
Yeah, I can. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, look, they don't concede goals as it is. Wonderful what he's done there.
And it's the kind of sensible, low cost investment that they do at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going crazy.
Swedish Chelsea fan said, "I'm thankful that Tottenham wasn't sold to Bowley 2 years ago." Listen, I'd love to have I'd love to have your chairman right now. I don't care what anyone thinks of him. I'd love to have that every day. Slapping in 60-80 million pound bids left, right, and centre. That would be fun. That would be like playing Monopoly.
Yes, Messi there at the moment, isn't it? Well, Messi might be there soon. Yeah, very, very messy to look at anyway, what's happening. But you can see the ambitions there. They're looking to buy their way into big time again.
Yeah. This one, Phil, president. Yeah, Phil, one of the 94,000 Phils. Yeah, I mean, Louis hits the nail on the head here, doesn't he? Or Lewis said, guys, Romano put an update, which is literally exactly what he said the other day. Look, I feel like Romano now is literally saying the same thing day in, day out with different words. It literally is saying the same thing. But
he needs instead of a let's go, he needs to sort of get on with it for Spurs, doesn't he?
Yeah. Here we get on with it. Yeah. Just something amazing. Look, I wanted to talk to you about. We talked the other day about Danjuma, and I'll be honest, mate. The hate I'm seeing for this man is something else. If I'm honest, it's something else. And I think, I said it at the time. I think we need to take it what it is, and I think it is a replacement for Brian Hill and Lucas Moura. And today, Fabrizio Romano, he's back. Our mate has said this: Seville want Brian Hill as a priority target for the final days of January. Talks will take place with Tottenham. Sampaoli said, I called Brian directly. He's the right player for us, a new winger, as a new winger. I already wanted to sign Brian Hill when I was Olympique Marseille coach. Now, if that has happened, the Danjuma signing just makes absolute sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, fair enough. It's even if it's obviously like a stopgap for the time being. As Conte has said before, he needs the players. He needs to have a couple of options all over the pitch. So, no frills. I think that's the thing with Danjuma, isn't it? No frills for me. That's a good phrase. It's he's not somebody that sets the world alight when you look at see his name come up. He's not somebody that's proven to be absolutely terrible either. It's just sort of it's kind of what the Americans call a nothing burger, isn't it? It's it's underwhelming, but you can't really write him off either.
Yeah, absolutely.
Could turn out to be a really good signing.
Absolutely. I'll tell you what is also a nothing burger. There's 200 people in the chat and only 36 likes, Cooper. That is very tight, isn't it?
That is.
Really tight.
I've done this one before. I know it's harsh, but if you're watching and you haven't hit the like button, you're not allowed to enjoy the stream. Yeah, I've said it. I'm sorry, mate, but you've got to put your foot down sometimes, mate.
No enjoyment, please, on our channel. But look, you've hit the nail on the head. I just feel some of the hate I've seen for this guy. You would have thought that we've signed a bloke from like the conference or something. Do you know what I mean? Look, whichever way we're looking at it, this is a guy that's played Champions League football and had a very good year in that Champions League spell as well. He's played for clubs like Villarreal, who are no mugs, and yet what I'm seeing is just he's getting beaten before he's even put on a Spurs shirt. And for me, we said it at the time. I truly believe it will be because Brian Hill goes out. Now, I think you said this the other day that just makes kind of no sense. If it's a loan, why not keep him here? But that didn't say loan. If I'm sure, I think they want him. I think they want to buy him. Would you be up for selling him?
Yeah, he's not going to get game time enough here. So what's the point? Conte's clearly only playing him when he has to.
Yeah.
It's pointless for player and it's pointless for club keeping hold of him. Neither's going to develop while they're here. So like I said, get a great first 11 at the moment. Get a great first 11, and rely on your youth when you need to, and just accept that there'll be a drop off in ability at that point. When we are consistently putting out a first 11 worthwhile, then you add to the reserves. That's when you sort of flesh out the squad. We're Absolutely. Not there yet. We're not anywhere close to that yet.
I'll tell you the funny thing about it for me, Coover, is if you think a couple of weeks back when when Hill and Saal played a couple of games in a row, and I think even one of them was a sub appearance. And everyone was, oh my God, they're brilliant. Conte's going to get them in the team now. They've since disappeared. Not been played. And I think it really does show that these players, this isn't what he wants, is it? He doesn't, same with Jed Spence, he doesn't want these young players. He wants proven players that go straight in.
I mean, of course, sometimes it can be proven wrong. Everybody can. But it does seem to be the way with Conte. He does like to have that experienced backbone to the team. People he knows have been there, done it before. They can handle the pressure. Perhaps then they help the youngsters through it. It's a good blend to have. It always used to be a good formula for success. Mm-hmm. Get the young enthusiasm in, and then the old heads on to guide them through difficult phases. How does Conte prefer to do it? Perhaps it's that Italian sort of vibe to it. They do tend to be happy for players to carry on beyond what we would consider the norm in the English Premier League.
Yeah.
Because they're quite happy for players to go on to late 30s, even to 40. Looks like the likes of Pirlo, didn't he? Pirlo, he went on to what? 40 nearly, I think.
Yeah, when you're that good.
De Rossi as well. He went on until he was about 45.
Yeah.
Is it still going? He might be. Yeah, so they don't worry about it so much. Does it always translate to success over here? I think you've got to have the blend over here. We are definitely more fast and furious in the league. So you've got to get the balance right. With Conte, hard to tell. Really hard to tell.
Yeah.
Is he going to be mad behind the idea of, say, Porro and Udogie as the wing-backs if he stays next season? Possibly. Do they seem like typical wing-backs for Conte to me? Not from what I've seen so far. I think he tends to prefer a real powerhouse sort of team.
Yeah, but, he wants big, powerful. He wants Dumfries type players. Perisic when he was in his peak, big, imposing players that have got muscle and can, you know what I mean?
Unless, of course, that's just happens to be what he's been dealt with before and he's worked with it. You can't always tell, but you just go with what you've seen before. So it's the only way of predicting the future, really, isn't it? You look at what's previously happened.
Yeah, absolutely. Big up, Lenny. Thank you. Yeah, I do a show every Monday afternoon with Rants. And to be fair to Rants and Bants, he kind of lets me use it as a therapy session for being a Spurs fan. So we do always have some funny moments. Rants and I don't see eye to eye on everything, but we always have a good laugh with it. He is a good guy. So if you haven't, please go and subscribe to Rants and Bants.
Lenny Moon is a top name as well.
Oh, brilliant.
I'll be happy with that as a name. Yeah.
I sound like an EastEnders character. Like, great.
Absolutely.
Great.
Bit of a geezer, bit of a lad. Yeah.
Everyone loves Lenny. That sort of bloke. Yeah. There's Len. There's Mooney. It's I want to stick on the Danjuma point for a minute, and I feel like what a lot of us do is everyone's an expert on a player, right? Aren't we? Look, again, that sounds hypocritical because it's what we do. We come in here and talk about footballers, but I feel like a lot of people probably haven't seen this man as much as they think they have, if that makes sense. What's important for him in his first few games for him to get everyone on side? What do you think he needs to do apart from the obvious, which would be score some goals? What does he need to show in his displays that we don't get at the moment?
Oh, sorry. Who are you talking about? Danjuma or Porro?
Danjuma.
What's he need to do? Get amongst the goals. That'll be an instant hit with the fans.
Yeah.
If he bangs in a couple of goals on his debut, folk hero straight away. He's got to offer those bits that Sonny's failing on at the moment. That is the goal content. It's sort of explosive moments in and around the box, some bit of excitement, bit of getting the fans going, and shots on goal, working the goalkeeper, creating a bit, taking on people, just showing a bit of confidence and a bit of drive.
Yeah.
Because Sonny seems to be playing in a very sort of subdued and flat manner for what we've seen of him, which is a great shame. And I love Sonny, but you got to say it as you see it sometimes, haven't you? And he's not been doing well lately. No. So if Danjuma can show all of that,
stop, right? Come on, big man, drop your shoulder.
Yeah. Better to have a B grade player playing at 100% than an A grade player playing at 95.
Well, there you go. I mean, is he playing at? Is some playing at 95%?
Well, it's only small percentages when you're talking about elite players, though, isn't it?
Well, of course it is. But look, we'll see. We'll get some of these comments. John Ellishaw said, "Savva, why get excited over Danjuma when I thought us fans are angry about key players we need now?" I mean, listen. I don't think I said that everyone needs to go in raptures about him, but I also don't think it needs to go the other way where people are absolutely kicking the bloke before he's put on a Spurs shirt. For me, as I've said, and I maintain this, I can see this signing for what it is. I said it the other day. I truly believe this will be because Brian Hill is going out. Now, whether that's on loan, whether that's signing, this is adding a body. And let's be fair, he's better than Brian Hill. So it's a loan deal. So there's no real risk here. This is what I think people have got to understand. This isn't we've not spent 60 million on this bloke.
I think could do it statistically, if you like. If Danjuma comes in for the rest of the season and he contributes, suppose he's involved in every league match, for example. If he contributes, say, 10 goal contributions out of the 20 games remaining, or however many it is now, that'll be a pretty good signing.
That'd be
even if he contributes.
Yeah.
Half a dozen would be decent.
Yeah.
Can't expect him to play every game, though. So how many is he realistically going to play? Should
Well,
we have a guess? 8 or 9, 10? Couple, and then a few off the bench, perhaps. Yeah, that's at most. So you'd probably be looking 5, 6 goal contributions, and he's done all right. It's a low bar for him. So just if he meets that, it's all good, isn't it?
Yeah,
if he exceeds that, brilliant signing.
Absolutely. Look, as I said, I don't know if he's playing tomorrow. I don't know if he's. I'm guessing he's registered in time. Look, get him in tomorrow. See what the lad can do. Get a goal out of him. Keep and then. But for me, I think what's important is then give him a go. Don't let him. Do you know what I mean? Don't get him in. He scores or assists. Then the next league game he's on the bench, and we just stick with Son game in, game out, no matter how bad he plays. Maybe you take Son to the side and say, "Hey, we're gonna give this guy a few games." Yeah. When I do put you back in,
got a response before, didn't it? So against Leicester. So
absolutely,
it's a good thing. It's always bad if a player has got their place cemented in the team. I think. Has it really damaged Harry Kane though? He's sort of risen to it really over the course of the season. Well, look, his goal scoring record alone.
Yeah,
fantastic.
I still think the difference between Kane and Son is for me huge. I know some people think Son's more important. I've always down the years said Harry Kane's the one. I feel you can replace a Heung-min Son. I don't think you can replace a Harry Kane. That's the difference.
Yeah, we replace Harry Kane and we literally have to play a different style of football.
Right. And you need a playmaker and a striker. Do you know what I mean? Like
the target man part of that is huge as well.
For sure.
The amount of work he does with his back to goal, ball into his feet, and he might have 2 or 3 defenders on him. Okay, a lot of the time he will lose the ball and people go, oh, there he goes, losing the ball. There's no appreciation for all those times where he's doing it and holding the defender off and keeping control of the ball, finding a teammate. It's immeasurable almost that kind of work at times because otherwise it's a breakdown in the attack. The fact that he manages to do that is outstanding. Some of his best games he's played, he hasn't scored a goal.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he offers so much more than putting the ball in the net. He really does. Yeah. Is this a fan interactive show? I will put the link in a little bit. I'll do the first hour with just me and Kuva, first 45 minutes, and I'll put...
I don't know. Is Phil president, Spurs fan? Never seen him before.
He's one of the many Phils. He's one of the many Phils.
Club Phil, yeah.
Mark Cousins has said, if Conte wants experience, have I got a chance? I'm 52. Absolutely, Mark. Get your boots on. We need an experienced wing.
It's on for the lads.
Darryl Denton has said, we are waiting till the summer to pay more for players, going for players we ain't getting anyhow. Hang on, sorry, let me read that again. So we are waiting for the summer to pay more for players, going for players we ain't going to get anyhow. Sorry, listen, this might not be what you meant, but for me, I don't think we're going for many players because I don't think they want to back Conte if he's not here. And again,
wait a minute. I'm kind of reading this. Is it the club's making excuses saying we can't get them now? We'll wait till the summer. But that's when we can pay more for them. But we're not going to go for them anyway. Perhaps because I think Daryl's pretty disillusioned with the club, the same as we are.
Yeah, absolutely. Stephen Smith has said Porro and Edozie are Poch type players. Well, I'll tell you what it does do next season. That could be pretty exciting. Edozie on the left, Porro on the right. So that's not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, I agree. They very much are. Yeah.
But I really wish Edozie was here now because I'll be honest. I'll be honest. I think everyone knows I don't rate Sessegnon. For me, Ryan Sessegnon is I don't even think a top half championship player, if I'm honest. I think Ryan Sessegnon is a very mediocre footballer. And Perisic, for me, I'm really... Sorry, Kura. I know people are going to hate me and they're going to say, well, look at his corners and whatever. I'm really disappointed with Perisic. He doesn't do anything for me. Sorry. I know that's harsh, but...
Yeah, he's not the player your memory goes to when you think about him in the first place. You remember those performances for Croatia on that. And, what a rampaging player he was up and down the wing. He's not that player now. It reminds me a bit of Gareth Bale returning. That when he hasn't got the pace anymore, the engine's not there, but there's sheer quality in some of the deliveries and a few goals.
Yeah.
Of course, Perisic isn't even scoring the goals, is he?
Well, has he scored a goal for us yet?
I don't think he has. I don't remember one.
Anyone in the chat? I can't remember one. Has he scored? I mean, he's got a few corners. He's got a few corners. He's got a few assists from corners, but I'm not seeing him beat men. I'm not seeing him drive with the ball. I don't know. For me, he's been really, really underwhelming. But look,
still better than Sessegnon, though.
Oh, Kuva. We'll get Mark fucking Scrumpy in there better than Sessegnon. I genuinely think whoever scouted Ryan Sessegnon, I mean, should retire from their job immediately. For me, nothing to his game. You know, like with some players, you go, all right, well, at least they're quick, right? Or at least he can head the ball. I don't know a thing that Sessegnon does that I go, yeah, you're good at that. Tell me in the chat. Am I being harsh?
There's like some of those games, isn't there, like Football Manager or whatever. I don't know whether you do it on FIFA as well, the same sort of thing. When it comes to designing a player and you get a template, and it's like clicking on continue, just don't change anything. And it's all at a halfway mark. It's nothing. Everything's nothing. It's just he's not even a cookie cutter mold, is he? He's just I don't know what he is. I wouldn't even call him a wing back. He's not a winger. He's not a fullback. He's not a midfielder. He's just
I don't know what he is.
Different kind of league. I think he's always meant to be a championship sort of player.
Yeah. John Ellishaw said, "Is he the answer to a shit defence and no creation in midfield?" Is what I'm saying. Are we going to play Kane in midfield and Danjuma up front? Now, listen, John, I completely agree with you. But what I'm saying is this signing in isolation obviously isn't anything to do with our defence or our wing back or our creativity, is it? This is about Brian Hill's going out, whether that's on loan, whether he's being sold to Seville. It was Seville, wasn't it? Yeah, to Seville. If that's the case, you've got to have bodies. And I'll be honest with you, I'd rather this guy coming off the bench or starting games than Brian Hill, I think Brian Hill will probably be amazing at five-a-side. I think technically, I don't think people will get the ball off him. I think he's a wonderful little technician, but what's the output? Do you know what I mean? What comes of that? But
it's kind of like he hasn't quite worked out how to deal with physical aggression. He's so easily knocked over and knocked off the ball. Can't knock his effort. I mean, there's something about the kid I like, but I just don't see it ever working here.
Yeah, I feel for him. Look, I think he is go to a club where you're going to play. If I was a footballer, I'd want to play. You know, like sometimes I look at these goalkeepers that sit on benches, like everywhere they go, and I think, yeah, I get it, you're getting money at that club, but surely wouldn't you drop down a league and be like a number one at Preston? Or I don't know why I picked them, probably because we're playing them tomorrow. But do you know what I mean? I'd want to play. Lots of people saying that it's Liverpool, by the way, that have put in a bid for Skriniar.
That could make sense too.
Yes, because Virgil van Dijk's out, isn't he?
Mm. And imagine them two together when they're fit as well.
Oh, yeah. I think Milan Skriniar is one of those as well. He won't need time to settle. He's a defender. He just defends. Do you know what I mean? He just wants to play. He wants to hard nut as well. Real tough opposed. I wouldn't want to be in an alleyway with him. He looks scary. Do you know what I mean? Like, he looks like he can have it. You know, I look at Eric Dyer and Davis and I think, yeah, well, I'd have a go. You know, I'd fight you, but I don't know if I'd fight.
I know what you mean. A few years back, Middlesbrough had a defender called Tony Mowbray. Do you remember him?
Yeah, Tony Mowbray, who's now manager of.
I can't remember. He is a manager somewhere. I can't remember where it is either. But he had that same thing. It was like a player. You looked at his face. I'm not messing with him.
Yeah,
I'm not messing with him. If he tells you to do something, you do it.
He is the manager of Sunderland. The manager of Sunderland.
He is, yes.
Who are just about to take Gelhardt from Leeds on loan. I saw just now on Sky Sports. There's been loads of activity. You know the old days of hard to do deals in January. That's gone, isn't it?
No,
deals everywhere.
Oh, for other clubs, yeah.
Yeah. Oh no. what I would have said if it was Spurs was deals are hard to do. Full stop! Exclamation mark.
Yeah, true.
But players like Tony Mowbray, players like Neil Ruddock, defenders that the centre forwards go, even if they're not the most technically gifted.
Neil Ruddock, yeah.
I'm in for a game here. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to get.
Yeah. I like Razor. He wasn't the best, but he was bloody entertaining. Fans sort of player he was, I thought.
Again, Kuva, you knew what you were getting.
Yeah.
You knew what you were getting. Nothing's going through him. Nothing's going past him. He will all the dark arts and that's what I think we need. We need some.
It's one of my favourite moments from Razor. It was I think we were playing against Liverpool and we were either scraping a 1-1 draw or we're narrowly winning by a goal towards the end of the game, and the ball's bouncing off towards the corner flag, and it goes clearly out of play. And this is in the days before we had multiple ball boys with multiple balls to get thrown back on. And Razor just went straight over the line and punted it clean out of the stadium to waste time. Got booked immediately. But it was like, yep, that's the way you do it. He just didn't give a shit.
But even players like what I would give right now for a Michael Dawson.
Yeah.
Again, not the best centre back in the world, but you knew what you were getting. 100% commitment. The guy would never turn his back and no, just
absolutely. It'd be there making it put as much of himself in front of the ball as possible to stop the ball reaching the goal. That's how you defend at centre half, as far as I'm concerned. Michael Dawson, great character. He had leadership skills as well. Proper captain. He was courageous, put himself on the line. As you said, not the greatest technical ability in the world, but you'd want him. If you're in the trenches, you'd want somebody like that alongside you. Captain.
When we're saying Skriniar too slow, give me Skriniar all day, every day. Every day.
Yeah. They always say it's the old adage when it comes to being a central defender: positioning.
Yeah.
You don't need to be the quickest as long as you read the game. Of course, it helps. Ideally, you'd have somebody like a Skriniar, then a really pacey central defender alongside. You'd have it all covered then.
Yeah, just a couple of people are talking about clubs overpaying for players this window. But look, I think that's a growing trend we're seeing in football anyway, to the point where what even is overspending on a player nowadays? Because now it's not about what a player's worth. It's about what the club can command, right? I always use the Harry Maguire analogy. It wasn't about Harry Maguire being an £80 million defender. It was Leicester saying, we don't have to sell him. Yeah, you want him, put in a ridiculous bid. And if the club is desperate enough and needs a player, they'll put in bids. But unfortunately, this is where football's going. As we said off stream, Kuva, 65 million pound bids for Casado, who was 4.5 million 2 years ago and has played 26 Premier League games.
I know what you mean. Sorry, mate. I just need 1 minute. One of my boys has come back. I'm just going to have a quick word.
Go. No worries, mate. No worries. I mean, guys, tell us, what sort of players would you like to see in? I mean, when we say centre-backs, but apart from the obvious, are there any players that may be a little bit left field, like your Connor Codys? That sort of, like your Dawsons. Is there anyone out there that you think would do a job, doesn't necessarily have to be the player for the next 10 years, but is a solid defender that just likes defending? Borodina said the Seville manager Sampaoli admitted he's very interested in taking Hill to the Spanish club. Yeah, we went through that. Top Spurs talking about Graham Roberts. There was a player. Michael Turner.
And Graham Roberts was only the sort of the vice captain because it was Stevie Perryman at the time when Graham Roberts was at the club. So just imagine having both those sort of forms of leadership in the same team. That's why we won trophies.
Absolutely. Just quickly, Ian, the Mad Darlow fan, are you talking about Michael Turner that played for years at Hull, down at Hull? That Michael Turner, Sunderland, Hull. If that is the Michael Turner you're talking about, I went to Cubs with him when I was a kid. He lived in the next road to me, and I played Cubs with him. And I remember him being very good then. Came through the academy at Charlton, went to Sunderland, Hull. Yeah, good old Michael Turner. Newcastle have agreed a fee with Everton for Gordon. You watch. I bet Eddie Howe gets a tune out of him. I bet he does well. I bet he gets a tune out of him. But
there's a lot of players playing in poor teams that will flourish when they're put in amongst good players. I think that's probably one of them.
Absolutely. I mean, even we'll come to this comment in a second, but even when you look at the options that Newcastle have now got in those forward areas, Kuva, when you look that their main man for the last few years has been Saint Maximin, and he's not even been starting. So you look now in those forward areas, they've got Isak, Callum Wilson, they've got Alan Saint Maximin, they'll have Anthony Gordon, they've got Willock that goes and plays up there, Almiron. Do you know they're starting to get options? Do you know what I mean? I think they're going to do really well. Maybe not this year, but I think they're a club definitely going in the right direction, aren't they?
Yeah, I thought it was kind of pivotal for them the other week when they played at Arsenal, and I remember before the game I was saying if they win that game, I'm putting them down for a league title. The definite contenders for it. But they didn't win that game, which gave me a doubt that they'd have the firepower. And then they started drawing a few too many. So I think as soon as they get the clinical sort of striking side of it, things done, going to be a force to be reckoned with. How many games is it since Newcastle have conceded in the league? 10, is it? Something like that? Mm-hmm. It's a hell of a run.
This is an interesting comment. Michael Dawson better than all defenders. Yes, even Romero. This is an interesting one. Look, I liked Dawson. I'm not saying I don't like Romero. I have massive question marks over him, Kuva. But what I would like to see is I'd like to judge Romero when he's playing alongside better centre halves. For example, if you got in a Botman type centre half to play alongside him and an Undercar, what's he like then? But tough one, this. I don't know who I'd go for.
If we're playing the regular sort of football that we have been playing, where we are sitting back on the edge of our box, Michael Dawson's an incredible fit for that. It's the last line of defence. He is the all or nothing last ditch stuff. Put him over Dyer easily. I think Romero would play better alongside him as well because he'd know he'd have a dependable defender next to him. I mean, Dyer does it at times. I think that's what's so frustrating about him is the fact that Dyer can do it. He just keeps letting himself down on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Hey, fans.
This is nice, isn't it? Well, do you know what? I'll take my insult over your insult any day of the week. I'll take that.
Yeah, fair enough.
You old fool. Do people put this in and think it hurt? Like, oh no, please don't say it.
I'm going to throw myself hysterically on the bed in a minute and just weep till morning.
Oh, good heavens. Let's have a look. Skriniar too slow, yet we were linked to Maguire. I mean, look, I'll be honest with you. If Skriniar came to this club, we should be bowing at his feet for picking us, right? If he ever joined. Not talking about how slow he is. Jesus Christ. Skinny Lee. I wish I was skinny. I really do. I really wish I was skinny. Skinny Lee saying that creative midfielder we need. Mo has said, big up Mo. How you doing, man? He has said, Sporting are now demanding a higher fee from Tottenham Hotspur for the transfer of wingback Porro. Porro's 45 million clause can only be triggered during the summer of 2023 and therefore want a higher fee. Tottenham all over if that happens. Raw Object, so I'm just going to quickly get through some comments so I can catch up with Vancouver. So Raw Object said Tarkowski, I'd love him. I'd take Tarkowski, does a job. Another one.
Michael Dawson sort of mould again, isn't it? He just puts himself on the line.
Yeah. Tyler
plays like it matters. We lack that at times.
Yeah. Defends. Wants to defend.
Yeah.
Keep saying that. Too many of our defenders, it feels like they've been put in there, but they don't want to die for the cause. They don't want to throw their body on the line. Tyler said, can't see Brighton selling Caicedo this window. Doesn't make sense to me when they're fighting for Europe. Yeah, I agree, but every player and every club has their selling point, right? And 65, I mean, they've rejected 60 today. If they go back in with 65, you can see Chelsea coming in and going, what do you want? 80. Can you turn down 80 million on a player that was 4.5 million and has played 26 games, Kuva? 26 games.
Good money, isn't it?
It's mental. And the thing is, I mean, look, Brighton for me got to have the best scouting in certainly the Premier League for me. I think what they've done and the prices they've done it for year after year is sensational.
I think despite their dip in form this season, as what you'd say, same with Leicester, really, wouldn't you?
Oh, for sure. Another one,
consistently good signings, yeah.
Another one. I'd take this bloke as well. I watch him play for Jose's Roma, and Roma do not concede goals. Watch them play. They kind of do what we do. It's not great football, but those buggers don't concede. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think he kind of found his feet out in Italy, though. I wouldn't take him back here, but he's done well there.
Yeah. Corman said Casado is worth at least 85 million. I mean, yeah, the world of football's gone mad. Joseph has said Tarkowski, strong lad, solid defender. Steve D has said, remember Roberts getting his teeth knocked out and he carried on playing. Yeah, wouldn't happen now, would it? John has said Graham Roberts would nut his mum. Brilliant.
Depends what you mean by that.
Yeah. I think he means headbutt. I'm going to go with headbutt.
All right, okay, let's go with
that. Joseph says, so glad we didn't get Gordon. Gideon has said, Michael Dawson, bro, he'd get left on the turn like Maguire. No. Well,
that's it. If you're going to play really deep like we have been playing a lot of the time, that's not a problem. If you're playing a very high defensive line, though, that becomes more of a problem. Then you need people really on the ball to be covering your slower players. I mean, the likes of bloody hell, can't even remember his name now. German defender that went on for year after year after year. It was always one of the best in the world. Probably still playing.
What era?
Very recent times.
Not Permertesacker?
No, he played for Bayern Munich mostly, but went to a few other places. Oh God, I forgot.
Yeah, I can see him. I can picture him.
Big unit of a player, anyway.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Someone give us the answer in the chat.
Hummels, Matt Hummels. Yeah.
Okay, Hummels. Yeah, good.
He did not have pace. He was one of the best defenders in the world, though.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah, some bloke. I love that. Great. Is that Frank Spencer in that picture?
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
I can't work out if it is. If that's not, I used to do a wicked.
No,
Frank
hang
Spencer
on.
impression.
It's somebody doing an impression of Frank Spencer. It looks like.
Yeah, I used to do a really good impression. I might do it in a minute. Betty, the donkey's done a whoopsie on the carpet.
Yeah. When are you going to do the impression?
Sorry. Yeah. Shut up. I haven't done that for ages. I mean, listen, I think a lot is made about slow centre backs, but I think you've hit the nail on the head. There's been some absolute legends of the game that didn't have pace.
Yeah.
If you've got it up there, half the battle's done. If you've got it up there, you know where to be. I mean, I know he's not a defender, but Sheringham, for example, look at Teddy. He could never run, could he? He was never a runner, but went on till about the age of 75 or whatever, and was still playing Premier League football in his 40s for Portsmouth, West Ham?
West Ham, certainly. If Stoke was still up, they'd certainly be playing him still, wouldn't they?
Yeah. I mean, look, this is going to be interesting. So Anthony Gordon going out of Everton, Sean Dyche going in. Dyche, I mean, I hope he keeps them up. I'm a big fan of Sean Dyche. I think what he did with Burnley was great. Sexiest voice in football, bar none.
Just that whole thing of their sub-zero temperatures, and he's out there in just a shirt.
Yeah.
Large.
Proper old school centre half.
Something about having some characters in the game that definitely is.
Yeah, absolutely. Kevin K has said Pedro Porro and Danjuma, great signings. You can't get everything in one window. Listen, I don't know about great. I agree. You can't get everything in one window. It would just be nice to get some centre halves at some point. This will now be the third or fourth window where the only centre back we've signed is Romero in the last 4 windows. So it just means our centre backs are just still there.
Also, the fact that it's taken us 27 days to haggle our way up to getting a bid that's accepted by the club.
Yeah.
He could have played against Arsenal, Newcastle. Arsenal, Man City, Fulham. He could have been in all those games. Might have made a difference in some. Perhaps not in the way we played overall, but who knows?
This for me is harsh. This for me is really harsh. I don't think Dawson was an average centre back. I thought he was a very good, solid pro. I don't think. Yeah, sorry, I'm not on that.
I wouldn't have called him a Champions League centre back, but for us, he was top performer for us. It's what we needed at the time.
But he was in our team under Redknapp he was in our team under Redknapp in the Champions League, though, wasn't he?
Yeah, but I mean, when you compare it to moving on to Vertonghen and Toby,
of course,
yeah.
I'll tell you, he would have been brilliant with Vertonghen and Toby in a free.
Yeah.
He would have been, you know what I mean? Just sit back, those sprayed balls. Imagine him and Toby.
Mind you, with Dembele in front, he wouldn't be needed, would he?
Don't. Kuva,
yeah, I'm starting to get a bit uncomfortable here as well now.
I told you, stop making me think about players like Moussa Dembele. Moussa Dembele is what our fans think Bentancur is. Bless him. Had a shocker the other night. I thought Bentancur, absolute shocker against Fulham. I thought Paulinho ran him ragged.
Paulinho's a good player. He's underrated.
Yeah,
bit of a destroyer at times. He must be uncomfortable to play against, to be honest.
Yeah,
but then teams do have that knack of doing it. I mean, nobody knew who the hell Conte was at Leicester until they suddenly win the league out of nowhere.
Yeah,
and then people, wow, Conte's something else.
Yeah,
proved it. You always get players like that turn up that really affect games. We had it with the likes of Wanyama as well. Another one completely can utterly destroy an opponent. We don't really have anything like that
now. Kevin Kay, he's going to go back and forth with me on these ones. Spurs squad is way better than Newcastle. Nothing to be afraid of. If the Spurs squad is way better, why do Newcastle not concede goals? They've conceded. Hang on, let's have a look at the league table, right? Let's have a look at this, Kuva. Let's have this right, shall we?
If the Spurs squad is way better than Newcastle, what does that say about Conte?
Right. Okay. Bang on. Absolutely. If the Spurs squad is that great, all them people saying it's not Conte, it's the players. Got to pick your argument there. Newcastle have conceded give or take a third of the amount of goals we have. We've conceded 31. They've conceded 11. So that's nearly a third of what we've conceded. I feel like you're completely undermining.
And I think that 11 wasn't that conceded in the first 10 games or something.
Yeah, I mean, let's have a look at Newcastle. Let's have a look at their Premier League games. Let's have a look at any of their games. Here you go. Just beaten Southampton 1-0. Drew 0-0 with Palace. Beat Fulham 1-0. Beat Leicester 2-0. Lost to Sheffield Wednesday. Before that, 0-0, 0-0, 1-3-0, 1-1-0, 1-5-0, 1-1-0, 1-1-0. They don't concede goals.
That's got to be at least 10 games, hasn't it?
They do not concede goals. It is mad how well they've done. Mark Scrummy Spurs comes in with a super chat. Big up, my man. And said, the only defender we need is Super Gary Mabbott. Oh,
would love him in the team.
Oh, Gary.
Yeah.
What a player. Yeah, what a player. Listen, I will put the link in the chat in a minute. And then if anyone does want to come on, please come on. But I'd say, come on, have something you want to talk about. You must have your camera on. Please, can we stop having people who come backstage, don't put their camera on, and then wonder why I don't bring them onto the screen, yeah? Big up Savva Kuva. Big up to you as well. Big up Savva Kuva. Yeah, you said it twice. Big up, big up, big up. Kevin is to Savva. You could talk about having high standards and moving the club forward, but then want Tarkowski and Smalling. No, right, Kevin. There's a huge difference in what I'm saying. Unfortunately, Kevin, come on, and I'll explain to you. I would love top centre halves to join this club, but we seem incapable of getting Porro over the line after 27 days. Where are we getting a top centre half from? My point is this. If I had said to you this season, you're going to have Romero, Dyer and Davis as a free, or Romero, Smalling and Tarkowski, I know which free I'm going for. Yeah? And it's not the one with Eric Dyer, just to give you the clue.
How much did Tarkowski go to Everton for as well? Wasn't it on a free or something?
He was on a free, yeah. Ben Mee went on a free.
I think it is a pretty obvious one for me. Tarkowski on a free to Spurs instead of Eric Dyer compared to keep Eric Dyer. I think I know which one I prefer.
But Kevin, I agree with you. Spurs should be going getting an undercar. You're missing the point of what I'm saying. I'm saying that our defenders are so bad that I'm at the point where I would have a Smalling. When you're saying a washed-up player like Smalling, I'm guessing you don't watch Roma ever play. Yeah, he's part of a very, very good defence. And when he doesn't play, they don't look the same. So I'm not saying go and buy Chris Smalling, but I would have Chris Smalling over Eric Dyer any day of the week and any days that haven't even been invented yet. Right? So when you're calling people washed up, why is Tarkowski washed up? What's wrong? Why is Tarkowski a washed up player?
He's put in some great performances for Everton this season.
He really has.
They're a poor team, but they were capable of defending sometimes. Not so much recently, because so many players just seem to be drifting. You can't do it all by yourself as a defender.
Absolutely. It makes you laugh, though. I think we're very good at belittling everyone. We're really good at belittling everyone.
Until we sign them.
And yet we will stick up for crap players that we have and keep them forever. Listen, I get it. Kevin, we're on the same page. We want top-class players to come through the door at Tottenham. I think the difference is I'm a bit more of a realist. Yeah? So just saying sign Skriniar on a free in the summer, I'm guessing if he is on a free in the summer because he doesn't leave in the next few days, I'm guessing we're not the only club that's going to be putting a contract in front of the man. What do you reckon, Kuva?
For which one?
Like I'm saying, if he's on a free in the summer, Skriniar, I'm sure he's going to have many people putting a contract in front of him.
If we're not even attempting to sign somebody like that on a free transfer, forget any hope of ever doing anything ever. Yeah,
no, I agree. I completely agree. I completely agree. I can completely agree. We've got Anthony backstage. I'm going to bring Anthony on. Hello, Anthony. How are you?
Hey, Stel. How are you? How are you, Kuva? Good to see you guys.
Did you just get called Stel?
I just got called Stel.
Oh, I'm sorry, Sav. I was on Stel's show the other night, and so that's why I'm sorry. This is only
hang on. I'm ringing Stel. Yeah, some bloke. Stel's not looking. Come on, man.
No, you're definitely not Stel. I totally get it. I'm sorry. I wrote in the chat that I wanted to come on, that I was on Stel's show, so that's why I had to
no worries, man.
Anyway.
I've been called a lot worse than Stel just in the last hour, so I wouldn't worry. Big up Stel if you are watching. I think he was doing a show at a similar time. Big up, gentlemen. Anthony, take it away. The floor is yours. What do you want to, whatever you want to discuss? This is what these shows are for. And okay. Big up Soren and big up Phil.
Couple things. Just really quick. Super quick bio. I'm a Yank. Obviously, you can hear by my accent. Spurs fan since 2003. Die hard. Really, I gave up all other American sports. Don't give a shit about American football, hockey, whatever, which I used to really follow. Full on Spurs. We won't get into why. That's boring. The point is that I'm not a newcomer. I've suffered a lot with this club. There's a couple of things that I did want to bring up, and I brought it up on Stel's show, and it's something that I can't wrap my head around, and maybe you guys can add something to this. We all know about Enoch buying us for investment reasons and not football reasons and stuff like that. I actually, funny little aside, I actually had heard a rumor that Daniel Levy was a Spurs fan as a kid, so I got all excited and thought maybe he wanted to bring us to glory, to, relive his childhood days, but quickly found out that was either a rumor or his uncle might have brought him to one game or something like that. But my point is this. With all the stuff that's happening with our club, with all the time that it takes to get one goddamn signing over the line with Porro, which isn't even, we could get gazumped at the last minute. I'll believe it when he holds up the shirt. And the fact that we're not addressing the center mid position, which is just, I'd take Tarkowski yesterday. I would carry him to the lane. I would take Robert Huth out of retirement and bring him to Spurs. Like, no joke. So
Premier League winner Robert Huth.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, literally a guy who knows how to defend. But so let me just get to the crux of the biscuit. Sorry to warble. Here's what I'm asking you: why do you guys think that Daniel Levy, the businessman that he is, who was able to see with Enoch that football would turn into a huge, multi-billion, trillion-dollar, whatever, entity that it is? Why wouldn't he see that from a money standpoint, not from a helping Tottenham standpoint, not just from helping his own bottom line and building the brand? Why wouldn't he understand that the optics of not adding good players in a few positions? I'm not talking about spending 180 million on Coutinho or something. I'm talking about buying a few good players when we've made the profit from the Champions League that Conte was directly responsible for. So you could literally give him that money. You could say, you got us this, so here you go. Here's even half of it. That's all you, because you got us up to 4th last year, which probably no one would have done. What's my question? Why isn't he seeing, even from a bottom line view, pure making money, that you have to invest something in order that our team doesn't drop to 8th or 9th and he loses Champions League money? Like, and surely any smart businessman, the guy could hate the club. He could be a Chelsea fan. But if he just wanted to make money off of Tottenham, he'd be like, okay, I have to do some investment in these things. Otherwise, we're not going to make the Champions League and I'm going to lose that money.
I think, for me, I'll give a quick answer and then I'll pass it around to the group. For me, I think it's simple. It's the risk versus the reward isn't high enough for him to want to kick on. I.e., what I mean by that is, even with all his penny pinching ways, even with the way he runs the club, he's turned us into a Champions League club more often than not. Getting that Champions League money, he's built himself an absolute cash cow. I don't see it as a stadium. I see it as a cash cow.
Yeah.
It just creeps money, right? Now, what would he have to invest in the club to win the league, right? And what is the difference in winning the league from a financial aspect to finishing 4th?
But still, we're not. I'm sorry to interrupt, sir. I'm really. I don't mean to be that guy, but we're not making 4th, and probably not, right? If a betting man would not have us making 4th this year, and yet a betting man, if we were to get a decent, solid center back and a right wing back and an attacking midfielder, all three of which could be got for probably literally 100 million tops, then we literally could be odds-on favorite maybe to squeak into 4th. He's not going to make 4th.
Let me ask you, Anthony, 100 million over here versus how much money he's going to lose or make for getting in the Champions League. For me, even if we don't make the Champions League, which we haven't for years gone by, right? We weren't in the Champions League until this year, and we're about to announce record profits. This club will print money whether it's in the Champions League or not. And for me, again, look, only my opinion, right? That's all it is. And I'll pass it over to you boys. For me, I think he's done what he needed to without actually having to give us success. And that's what I keep saying to everyone. I'm all for the protests. I'm all for this. I'm all for that. For me, I don't think it matters. These guys will leave when they want to leave. And at the moment, they're sitting there on the crest of a wave. They finished the stadium. They finished the training ground. They've got nothing else infrastructurally. I think I just made that word up. They've got nothing else to do. Like what do they need to do? They just do this every year. But NFL, boxing, Skywalk.
But Savva, they do own a team, and to just so my final pushback, and I agree with you. I'm only saying from an optics standpoint, if we are in the future next year, I'm talking about near future, this year probably, battling Fulham and Brighton for 7th or 8th. Doesn't that tarnish the brand? Because we're really bad now. We're not even talking about like 4th in Champions League. We're talking about like 7th, 8th, something like that. We're a really lower club, and we sort of like peter out. Doesn't that cost him money overall by just taking one of his properties and making it a diminished asset? Or am I wrong? Am I not seeing something?
Listen, I agree with you. I think this is why we all know the moment that Conte, if he does get to the point where Champions League looks like it's drifting away, and I'll pass over to you, Kuva, for this now, and then to Soren and Phil. At the moment it looks like we're not going to get it, Anthony, that's when he pulls the plug on managers, and then he wants the new manager bounce. I genuinely don't think he cares. I think he's done everything he set out to do. And look, what's the downside? The downside for him now is not just Levy. The downside for Lewis, for Levy, they have enough. They sell the club, and a club they bought for 22 million, they get 4 billion for. So I don't think he has. I don't think there's enough business sense for him to chuck the money in. For him, not for us as fans. I want to see them chuck money at it. But Kuva?
Yeah, I don't have much to add to that. What Levy's got us into the situation he wants us in, where regular European football, try and keep the investment to minimal or whatever the team can generate on its own, without having to dip into extra funds, and just maintain it with the cash cow is in place. He wants to milk it. It's the off-field activities that interest them. It's all those development projects in North London. That's where they're going to make their serious money from. We are just an organic advertising suite for Enix business. That's all it is. I don't see any more than that. Won't carry on. Done this rant far too many times. Sick of it. Sick of feeling like it seems even more so every transfer window.
Yeah. Is that? I mean, Soren, Phil, anything to add? Anyone got a different take on it?
I mean, I would say if you take away the COVID years, you look at our revenue, that explains why Levy's happy with doing what he's doing. There's money coming into that club without winning the league or things like that. So like Savva says, the investment that's needed probably outweighs the risk. If you look at like Barcelona, especially Everton now, they've pumped in millions and millions and millions of pounds over the last few years, and they're knackered now. Levy's never going to do it. That's the businessman in Levy, that he sees he has built an empire. What did they pay for it? Was it 60 million or something when they bought it?
Yeah.
22 million, and now it's worth 2.2, 2.5 upwards billion pounds. Explains itself.
Yeah, I mean, Phil, have you got anything to add on that?
Well, firstly, I was at the NFL protest, and when I went to the NFL, there were signs to the stadium, but it was just called the stadium. There was no Tottenham mentions, nothing at all. Literally nothing at all. I met Brian down there and Graham as well, and literally there was no mention of Tottenham Hotspur whatsoever on the way there. And fans that went to the NFL, they didn't even know who the home team was in the game. Literally, and we were saying to them, it's Tottenham's ground. They didn't even know who Tottenham were. And it's like nothing. And so you could see from that moment there that the money was not going back into the team. And then I said that as well. The money's not going to go back into the team whatsoever, because they just don't need to. Because if it was, there would be mention of Tottenham Hotspur there. But literally, there was nothing. And so when I said that out loud and people were hearing it, oh, that's not true. The cockerel. No. There is no mention of Tottenham Hotspur whatsoever at all in any of it. Yeah, even the boxing, there is no mention of Tottenham Hotspur. There's no Tottenham Hotspurs on the chairs or nothing.
Yeah,
but why would there need to be?
Because it's Tottenham's home ground. And you need to put the money back into the team. That's what Levy said when we were moving to that new stadium. I am going to put the money back into the team.
Yeah, no, I get that. But what I mean is, if you're hosting an NFL game, why does there need to be talk of Tottenham? Because you're there for the American football, not for the football. Doesn't mean.
Yeah, but you're going to Tottenham's home ground. So it has to be some recognition of it at least. Come on, mate.
But what I'm saying is that just because there's no mention of it doesn't mean to say it's not going to come back.
Mm.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Look, Anthony, I agree with you. Look, I said to Kuva off stream, You know, I want to see us spending money. I want to see us bidding for the best players, the Skriniars, the Vardials.
Savva, if you don't, can I just cut in? You just said the perfect one. We're not talking about 140 mil for Coutinho. We're talking about 20 fucking million for Skriniar. We're not talking about he has to like break the bank and take this huge Leeds-like dice roll. We're talking about a relatively small investment for them with a chance of helping the brand that he, I would think as a businessman, would care about come up. We're not talking about this huge outlay. Just a
I agree.
Oh, Anthony, can I just point out, you're talking 20 million for Skriniar.
Yeah.
It was Conte who wanted rid of Skriniar. Now, if Conte is staying, which, I mean, most of us don't think he is, but if Conte is staying, why the hell will he want Skriniar in now when he didn't want him at Inter?
Okay, but my point just being is that I'm sure Conte, if you said Antonio, what defender between 30 and 40 mil realistically would you like out there? Would you like one? I'm sure he would say, I would take blah, 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 or blah, 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 or blah, blah, blah. In other words, my point just being, I totally understand about Skriniar, but there has to be, the Nathan Ake's are out there, and they could really help our club. And it's not a bank breaking huge dice roll. You know, this could not.
Anthony, let me ask you a question. Let me interject and ask you a question. Listen, I completely agree. I'm just trying to remain level headed and ask questions. Right? If you're Milan Skriniar, now don't get me wrong, Kuva and I have said this all week. Definitely test the water, put the bid in. If you're Milan Skriniar, is there enough pull? Yeah, is there enough for him to want to join Tottenham Hotspur? Right now, looking at Tottenham, is Skriniar going, that's a positive step for me at, what is he, 27, 28 maybe? I don't
28,
know.
coming up.
Right, coming up to 28. Weird that you know his age, Phil, but well done.
Well, thank you very much. I kind of scout some of these players as well, just to make sure.
I'm joking. I mean, so Anthony, do you think there's enough pull there? Like when people are talking about Bastoni, Vardial, why are they going to go, yeah, I don't want to join Madrid or PSG or Man United. I want to join Tottenham.
How about is there enough pull for Nathan Ake or Robert Huth or Connor Cody? You know what, you get my point. My point is that there are decent, good, I'm not even talking about lower decent, let's say good. There are good, solid defenders that would be way better than Moon Boots or way better than Longley or way better than
Moon Boots. I love that.
In other words, my point is this. Conte is not the type of guy that needs a Philip Coutinho huge splash out signing. He needs a few maybe higher than average sign, or like not Levy special 15 mil signings. He might need a 40 mil, but there's definitely a guy out there in a team lower than Inter that is a center back, that is left-footed, that you could find with our scouting network, allegedly, if we even have one, that would be willing to come to Tottenham. In other words, smart teams do these deals. They find the guy that it doesn't have to be Milan Skriniar. Fuck him. Then it could be some other human being. But my point,
can I give you one defender, just one?
Yeah, please.
Nikola Milenkovic at Fiorentina. He is a commanding leader. He actually is the captain of Fiorentina as well. And he's young. He fits into Levy's demographic of young, up-and-coming players and ready now. All right. And I think someone like him, next to Romero, telling him when to go forward, when to come back, that would be the perfect sign for Tottenham Hotspurs. Exactly. But it's about ambition. Like I said, over the 500 days when we didn't sign anybody, it's about ambition. Now, if you've got the ambition to go for someone like him, then fair dues. And I'll say to Daniel Levy, you know what? Hold my hand up. You've done a good deal.
Yeah. I think, look, I agree. Anthony, I agree with you. For me, what we do, though, as a club is we belittle everyone. So, for example, when you look at a player like Nathan Ake, right, who does a good job for me. Whenever I watch Man City play, I don't see Ake making mistakes all over the place.
I wanted him when he was at Bournemouth.
Right. But if you said that Spurs fans, go and buy Ake to play on the left-hand side of R3, everyone will lose their mind.
Yeah, but
Nathan Ake, Nathan.
But seriously, so Spurs fans have no input on anything. So my point being is that Levy, I would think, would have people around him going, why don't we go for a lower price guy that's not cut rate, just doesn't have to be Bastoni, but a guy that could really help Conte, and Conte would be on board with a mid money signing, but that could really come in and help the club. I don't understand that kind of mentality. Not a Philip Coutinho for 140 mil like Barcelona or a Galactico, but a guy. But then again, not a cut rate bottom of the barrel guy like the dude we just bought. I'm talking about a really solid, good, solid player that could come in and fit Conte's system. They have to be out there, and they can't be.
Of course, they are.
I think we did have a director of football like that. It was Paul Mitchell.
Yep,
because he was like that, he got put out on gardening leave. That's just the way it is.
The problem is, though, Kuva and we're sat here now. You know, Anthony's talking about, why don't we go out and get a decent £20 million player? Go back to the summer, and everybody was saying, look, if we can't spend 80, 90 million on a player, we're not doing it right. The problem is, doesn't matter who you sign. I mean, we do need to sign somebody, but half the fan base is never going to be happy with whoever we sign. And this is the problem going forward, that the players out there that we all know, the first player we should have signed last summer and this summer is a centre-back. Yeah. Full stop. We shouldn't have signed anybody else until we get that defence. So if we'd have sorted the defence out, we would be in a far better position now.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you all a question then, and you know, answer as you see fit in any order. Do we feel that some of this is going to be, some of this in terms of not buying players at the moment, other than Porro, is very much along the lines of Conte not going to be here next year? How much impact do you think that has on the club's thinking? Because Danjuma is a loan, right? 6 months. So it doesn't really matter, right? He's here at the moment. His contract with Spurs ends at the same time as Conte's, right? Porro, I don't think it matters. He's just a good right wing back, right? Or could play right back or further up the pitch. But are we not bringing in these players because Conte's leaving? Do you think there's any truth in that? Or we're just being Tottenham?
I think it all depends whether we know who our next manager is. If Levy kind of, you know, if we have spoke to Poch or whoever, I mean, hopefully it's not too cool, but if we spoke to Poch and there is dialogue going on, which you would hope there would be if we have gone that far, then you would hope that there will be names being put forward to Poch and saying, look, would this player be suitable for what you want to do? If it's not, then if Conte is staying, then, you know, this is where everybody's moaning that Levy or whoever it is jumping in and buying players for the club. This is where we've got to go with Conte. And don't forget, it's only 6 months ago, Conte said he was happy with our defenders.
Well, now I'm going to hate to disappoint you now. I'm sorry, yeah, because the first time I'm on stream with you as well, so here it is. Now, when we signed Nuno, yeah, that summer we did 72 days without a manager. Now, there was dialogue between Levy and Pochettino at the time. Pochettino was stuck at PSG, yeah, so he couldn't basically leave PSG without compensation free from Daniel Levy. So that's why I believe we couldn't get him at that stage. Now that he's unemployed, I think now is the time to bring him back. Yeah, with Pochettino. So now...
Disappoint me.
Pardon?
Why is that going to disappoint me?
Well, I don't mean it like disappoint you as in you yourself, but here it is, yeah? All right, so now that he doesn't have to pay compensation fee, now is the time to bring back Pochettino. Now, we do need a defense, and the last time we did have a major clear out was under Pochettino, because I think people said it was it 9 players he got rid of in the first year or something like that, something along them lines. So we had the first major clear out underneath Pochettino. Now, no other managers had that freedom to be able to clear out the players like he has. This is why I say Pochettino is the best manager that we can get. And the fact that he could work under a budget of what Levy's basically willing to give, I think he's the best manager for the job. Now, Conte...
Phil, sorry, I want to ask you a question on that. I'm going to debate this with you because first and foremost, I would say that I don't think not being able to get rid of the players has been down to our managers. I truly believe that is down to people not wanting to buy them. Secondly, I would say all the players we're trying to get rid of now, and Poch fans, please do this, all the players we're actively trying to get rid of now are Pochettino players that he signed in. Davinson Sanchez, right? Ben Davis,
Ndombele.
Eric Dyer, Ndombele, Lo Celso, right? Sessegnon. These are all players that were under Poch. So,
but we're not playing.
But we're not. Yeah, but we're not playing his system anymore. So
Yeah, I know.
This is the problem. This is when we talk about Emerson Royale, who was bought for Nuno. Now, if he plays in a different position, back four, then he plays better. Now, I'm not saying any of those players that Poch signed were ever going to make it, but we will never know if they'd have worked under Poch.
Mm-hmm.
But to answer, I think if Poch came back, fantastic, because I never wanted to see him go in the first place.
Same as that.
Was one of those fans calling for Poch to be sacked. And then when he got sacked, they were all great, fantastic, he's gone. And then all of a sudden, they didn't want Mourinho in, and now they all want him back. You know, this is the way.
I wanted him sacked. I'm not going to lie. I wanted him sacked, and I'll tell you why. I felt like his time was done. You know, 6 years is a long time at one club. And through one reason or another, it felt like it had got very stale.
Yeah, but you don't think the 500 days counts to that stale?
Listen, of course it does. I'm not blaming him per se, but I just feel the whole thing became untenable. The players,
yes, that's true.
Look, for as bad as we were in the market, right? For as much as we needed this painful rebuild that he managed to say in the last 6 months of his time at Spurs and no other time, that's a different story. We had enough players to not be winning away for 10 months.
But I'm going to say this to you, Savva. Yeah, you know how you were saying before at the summer. Yeah, you were saying that it's a squad game.
Yep.
Right. Pochettino said, and this is one of his interviews. Right. He said, "I wanted competition for Dele Alli because if he stays here without competition, he will go stale." Guess what happened?
Sure, yeah.
I think there's more wrong with Dele Alli than just going stale.
Yeah, no. But he got complacent. A lot of Tottenham players, got complacent, and then even today they get complacent because there's no competition for places, so they can basically have a poor performance and know that tomorrow they're going to play the next game. There's no other competition for them to get them out of the club, to get them out of the side.
Phil, I agree with that, but that doesn't address the fact that he couldn't win an away game for 10 months.
Yeah. That's true. But then
hang on. Not having somebody to fight Dele for his place isn't the reason why we didn't win for 10 months.
No. But then, Savva, you are. I'm going to say this to you. Yeah, you're a businessman. Yeah, right now, you have worked yourself off. You've not worked yourself off, but you've earned you've got yourself into the Champions League. You've earned your way into the Champions League. Yeah, right. You finished third when Leicester won the league. You finished second when Chelsea won the league. Instead of going on and giving you the tools to try and get to the first place here, you've been told, you know what, we're not going to help you. We're not going to back you. You're going to lose confidence in yourself, and then they're going to think, you know what, screw it. I just don't want to be here anymore because I'm not going to get backed, and I've earned this right to be backed.
I agree, but then hence my reasoning for he needed to go was the whole thing had become untenable. The same way. I feel that those signs with Conte. I feel like if we end this window with just signing Pedro Porro and Danjuma on loan, for me, it's another window when he will surely look around and go, oh my God, like secretly he'll be thinking, oh my God, I've got Dyer, Davis, Sanchez, Tanganga, Road. Like, so there's times when it becomes you've outstayed your welcome and not in a horrible way.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole club was going very far away from where Poch once had it, right?
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I think what we missed out on at the time was because Mourinho was lined up and he came in so quickly afterwards, there was not a time when the fans were saying, how the hell has this been allowed to happen?
Mm-hmm.
It was instantly eyes turned away from the problem, new manager in, oh my God, it's Mourinho. He wins trophies everywhere.
Do you not think though? I mean, a lot of the conversations over the last few months have been that we don't back our managers, and then we're talking about bringing Poch back, who we say, was the one manager that didn't get backed in theory in the middle of his tenure, but yet he wants to come back to a club that we all say didn't back him. Now, How do we know? I mean, I'm just playing devil's advocate here. How do we know he didn't turn around to Levy and said, "Oh, there isn't a player out there that I need to strengthen this squad at the moment"? We can't just assume that it was all Levy's fault. There must be a reason Poch wasn't asking for players.
To be fair, there's lots of reports that he turned down players.
Exactly.
Like, there's lots of reports that when we let Moussa Dembele go in that January and Tielemans was available on loan,
well, we didn't get him.
He said, I don't want him to come. Like, I don't want Tielemans.
Yeah.
Tielemans.
But here's the breaker for you, Savva, yeah? Was it not last year? I think it was the year before. When he signed Gigi Wijnaldum, for PSG, did you not hear the first thing he said? I wanted him at Tottenham Hotspurs in that summer that we did 500 days without backing a manager. He said, I wanted Gigi Wijnaldum at Tottenham at that time.
He doesn't mean to say he asked for him. He might have just, the comment might have been, I wanted him, a player like him, or I wanted him at Tottenham.
No, he said he wanted him.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is it doesn't mean to say he went to Daniel Levy and asked for him.
I think he did. I think he did. And I think Daniel Levy then went and got Moussa Sissoko because Moussa Sissoko was available for cheaper.
And who was voted our best player?
Liverpool.
Right. Right. So it's not like he went to a worse club.
No. But he would have done a job for us, and covered where Moussa Sissoko would have been.
Yeah, but Phil, I think sometimes as fans we just say, "Oh, we should have got that player." You know, sometimes we have to take into account if Liverpool come calling for you, or Tottenham come calling for you right now, right? Where are you going?
Well,
but look where the two teams were at the same time. At that time, at the 500 days, look where we both were. We were basically at the same level at that time.
But Phil, that's again something I always talk about on my show, and Kuva probably hates hearing it from me. As football fans, we always think about this little moment in time. Bigger picture is if I'm a footballer and Liverpool, and Tottenham Hotspur come in for me, who's the bigger club? Who's got the better structure as a club? Who wins things?
Liverpool.
Liverpool. So if I'm Gigi Wijnaldum and I'm going Liverpool or Tottenham, I hate to say this, I'm a Spurs fan, but I'm going Liverpool. Same way. If Liverpool right now put an offer in, the same offer to Skriniar, where are you going right now? You're
going to go to Liverpool because Liverpool have won things recently. And Liverpool have a history of winning stuff. Tottenham don't right now.
Right, just answered your own question with Wijnaldum.
That's my point.
But at that moment in time, Liverpool weren't winning anything.
Liverpool have always been winning things.
Not at that time.
They were still playing better than us.
Liverpool, it's the same. Like, look, fans look like right now, and they go, "Oh my God, Chelsea and Liverpool are crap." No. Every footballer on the planet knows those clubs will come back. Right? They will. Liverpool and Chelsea, I'll put my bottom dollar on it. They're going to win things before we do. They're going to. That's the way the world works. Arsenal will win something before we do. Newcastle will win something before we do. Man United or Newcastle look like they're going to win a trophy in the next month. Right?
Yep.
The problem is, it's all well and good saying Poch. The better example is Grealish. That one I get on board with. Grealish, he's leaving Villa at the time to come to Tottenham. Yes.
Yeah, that was bad.
But Wijnaldum, where are you going to go? The same way, Sadio Mane, where are you going to go? Liverpool, Spurs, right?
Yeah, that's true.
This is the thing. We're not as attractive because we don't win things. We're not as attractive.
But then you also have to remember, Savva, players like, you just said Sadio Mane, players like Sadio Mane played underneath Pochettino at Southampton anyway, so they already knew each other from them days anyway. So he would have had the advantage over Liverpool, and if he had been allowed to go for him and given him his idea of his project, I think Sadio Mane might have chosen Tottenham. But that's where it is.
But it's the same as now.
Just quickly, I'm in the chat as well. Big up, Stel. Stel has said Poch out was the biggest mistake under Levy. Arsenal has spent 594 million since the summer of 2019. Spurs have spent 534 million. A Poch rebuild could have easily been done. I don't know what you guys think about this, but I know we keep hearing about a rebuild. I'm going to say this, right? Poch didn't do the build in the first place. Now, that's going to be controversial.
But that's exactly what Conte does as well.
Right. But this is the problem, Soren, for me. If we actually look back and break this down without emotion, right? So obviously emotion kills everything in football. If we look at that famous 11 that Poch had, 7 of them were at the club, right? So was he an excellent coach to get the best out of? For sure. But he didn't build it, right? It wasn't like he didn't come in and build that 11 from scratch. Then what I do remember is fans were saying, this is what makes me laugh, right? This is why I just laugh at Spurs fans all the time. When we were flying high, like second and third or whatever, any player you suggested, fans went, but where does he play, right? Why does he come to us and sit on a bench? Right?
Yeah, I didn't like that one either.
But then when we didn't buy players, it was, oh, they've not backed him. Secondly, when we had that summer, the one just before Poch went, and it was Ndombele, Lo Celso, Sessegnon, Clark, so many Spurs fans were going, these are the 4 he wanted. These are the 4 he wanted. 150, 60 odd million, right? When it didn't work out, he's not been backed. I think.
Yeah, but I think the Lo Celso deal, I don't think he wanted Lo Celso. I think he wanted Bruno Fernandes, to be honest with you. And the fact that he sent, I think that the fact that Hitchin went to Portugal to try and negotiate the fee, and then we didn't want to go to the what Sporting wanted. Was it Sporting? Yeah, what Sporting wanted for him, yeah. Right, is the reason that we didn't get Bruno Fernandes. That was disappointing to Pochettino, and that's why he said that comment of, I'm not the manager, yeah, I'm the coach. Because he didn't get the player that he wanted.
Okay. So why did he turn down? Like, if this is true, like, why did he turn down? There's so many stories that he turned down players like Yuri Tielemans. Why?
Because he had certain players that he wanted, like Bruno Fernandes, which he thought was better for him.
But mate, we were at a point where we just let Moussa Dembele go. We were in our Champions League run, right? We were turn of the year. We now had Winks, Sissoko. Who else was our centre mid at the time? Winks and Sissoko.
Yeah, Winston Sissoko, yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Why are you turning down Yuri Tielemans for your squad?
Very good question, Savva. That I agree with.
If it's a player that you don't want, why would you accept them then? Otherwise, it's the same argument we've got with Conte at the moment.
And Spence, there you go. See, and that's why when Hasper was saying it the other day of the patterns continue, it does. Because now you've got the Spence deal on Conte. You're getting players that you don't want.
But this is the problem with Spurs or fans in general. We want signings, and then as soon as we think it's not the manager's signings, we're all against it. As soon as they're a good signing, we think it's great because it must have been the manager's. We're sat here now talking about Poch didn't want some players, but why didn't we back him?
Bang on.
And now we're saying we want to sign players, but it doesn't matter if it's not Conte's players.
I've always thought the same thing. If you've got a director of football, very few of the signings of what the manager's after.
Yeah.
The majority is always going to be club signings. The
idea behind a director of football is to get players in, and then you keep getting the same style of manager to carry it on.
And that's what Mitchell and Pochettino a double act, because Mitchell knew which players what Pochettino needed to get the best out of Pochettino's team.
Yeah, and this is
hence
the
why I don't want Conte, Soren.
Hence why Soren for chairman.
Soren, this is why I don't want Conte, because
I'm with you. I don't want to build.
I don't want to build. Whether this is going to happen or not is a separate subject. But if they were going to build for the long term, this is only my opinion, right? I don't want to build under that ethos of football. That's not what I want to see. Right. I don't want the next manager that comes in after Conte to be a Simeone. Do you know what I mean? I don't want a Dyche.
We spoke about this the other day, Savva, and we both said Conte is a great manager, but he's not a great manager for Tottenham. He's the wrong top. Now, I don't want to back Conte. I'll back him because I'm a Tottenham fan and he's my manager. I don't want to back Conte because two things. One, I hate the fact that we're always trying to bow to him to keep him happy. And that's not a manager I want. I don't want to keep thinking, well, is he going to be here this next season? Is he going to be here in January? Do we have to? I want a manager that, one, can get the best out of the players that he's got, because I don't think Conte is doing that. Two, I want a manager that will commit to my club and that we can build for that manager And if he goes, we get another manager in that's the same type of manager. Now, we've got Mourinho in, we've got Conte in, which are pretty similar style managers.
Mm-hmm.
Neither of them have bloody worked. So we need a manager like Poch, might not have to be Poch, who is going to come in and put his arm around those players and say, look, you are better than what you think you are.
So basically what you're saying you want is a man manager, like a Harry Redknapp. That's basically what you're saying that you want.
Yeah, because it's all right bringing in these world-class managers. And look, I'll say Conte is a world-class manager. If he walks into a team that's virtually ready to go already, Conte is not the type of manager from when we look at his past that will come in and do a proper rebuild at Tottenham Hotspur, because we all know that's what we need.
Yeah.
We haven't got the first 11. It doesn't matter. I mean, we all go on about, will he build Inter Milano? No, he still had an infrastructure there that was ready to go. Exactly. Tottenham hasn't got that. We need to literally, I mean, look, I'm not a Levy out, but I understand the arguments as to what people are saying. And we need to step back and start again. Poch did that. Now, if we'd have got another manager in on the same type of ethics as Poch, we would have moved on. But we didn't. We went totally the opposite way. He then had players that didn't suit Mourinho's style. So we had to go back. Now, you look at the players we've got, Dyer, Sanchez, blah, 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 blah. Mourinho played them. Nuno played them.
Yeah, but you know, see how before they left the club here, you didn't see how they dropped Eric Dyer and put them on the bench. There's a reason why they were benched. They weren't good enough.
I'm not saying that they're the right players for us, but what I'm saying is, I mean, Mourinho came out at one stage and said Dyer was bloody good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if Mourinho's saying that, who was a defensive coach? Conte is happy with him, who's a defensive coach. Something's not right somewhere.
But can I just say that the thing is for me, and I get accused of this all the time because I've openly said I don't really want Conte here. He's not whatever he is as a great winner elsewhere, and I think Kuva's on the same. He's not for me, right? He just isn't. For me, it's brought a circus feel to our club, which is ruining it for me. It's constantly we're having to pander to him. Like it's like we should feel lucky to have him. I don't feel lucky to have a manager that plays football like that. I hate it. I hate that he plays the football the way he does. The second part of this is he is the only manager, it feels like, in the history of football that isn't allowed to have blame allocated to him for anything that happens on the pitch. And I find that so, I'm not going to say moronic. I find that so baffling and confusing.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's limited. The reason I don't want Conte at Tottenham yet, and it's the reason I didn't want Mourinho at Tottenham, is to for their systems and their football to work, you're going to have to put down a lot of money, something that Daniel Levy does not do, and you have to spend, and it is a lot of money, because when you look at Inter Milan, the first window that he had at Inter Milan, he gave them an ultimatum: either you sign Romelu Lukaku, or I walk. That was the first thing he said to them, right? And then they signed a striker, and it wasn't Romelu Lukaku. And then he said that threat to them. Then they went and signed Romelu Lukaku. Now, I knew that would not happen at Tottenham, which is what I said in the summer. I knew that kind of ultimatum wouldn't work at this club because we don't do that. So straight away, you've got the wrong manager for what you need to do.
Exactly. This is my point. I said the time when you would have brought in a Conte would have been when Poch had that team second in the league. Right, and you just needed to add a few players to the squad. Conte will go and get you over the line, right? I'm not saying Poch
Conte probably wouldn't have done it because it'd have changed the style of those players.
I
agree. I mean, a Conte style manager, then, yeah. A winner like that. This is my point. Everyone constantly now going, Conte needs to be backed. We need so much at this football club that to back him is going to take years and years and years, right? I don't mean one window of buying two top players. This is going to be 5, 6, 7 windows. Conte's not your guy. The fact that Conte has never been at a football club longer than 3 years tells you, and me, and everyone, this is not your build, whatever you want to call that word. This isn't your guy for that.
This isn't. And I know people don't want to believe that because what they just see is he's won everywhere he's been. Yeah, same as Jose. They won everywhere they've been because they had the infrastructure ready, and they may have had to add a few sprinkles here or there. At Tottenham, he needs a whole new defence. He needs a new goalkeeper. We need a creative playmaker. We probably need another centre mid. We probably need another forward. Whilst we're about to lose Lloris, right? Kane hasn't signed, right? This is not your guy for right now. This is your guy for when all of that is in place.
That's correct.
And football fans just go, he's a winner. Yeah.
Yeah, but why is he a winner? Now you get it. No, why is he a winner, Savva?
Right, because he's been at clubs that win and that have like people. Someone said to me the other day, Kuva, I think they came on when we were doing one of the phone calling shows. Someone said, "Oh, he rebuilt Juventus." And do you remember? I got up the Juventus squad that he walked into, and like it had a back three of like Bonucci, Barzaglia, Chiellini, Buffon, Vidal, Del Piero, and it was like on and on. And I went, look, he's taken over Spurs where you've got Højbjerg, Sanchez, Dyer, Royal. This is not the club. Sorry, I'm so passionate.
Can I just ask a question though, Sam? Can I just ask a question on this then? What club has Conte gone into and won anything that hasn't been a top tier club already?
No, none, of course.
Savva, guys, can I say something?
Yeah, sure, jump in, man.
I've actually never heard anyone address this, and I'm going to be the one guy that has to push back on this. I agree with everything you guys are saying. I think that the worst part about Conte is his unpredictability and the fact that it does feel like he gives off an air like we're kind of lucky to have him, and I agree with that. I don't agree necessarily that I am Conte in. I want him to stay here. If in a fantasy world, if I could choose that option and I was an angel and can make it happen for 3 years, I would say yes, and I'll keep him here and do a rebuild with him. And I'll tell you why. What no one talks about when everyone talks about this boring Conte ball. Last season, and remember, I've been watching Spurs for 20 years, so I'm not a newbie. I've really been through a lot with this club. Even at so I'm comparing him to Conte's last year with Spurs when things were going right. I know we had one game a week. I understand that, so we didn't have the same pressure on that we do now. But I have never, in my history of supporting Spurs, ever seen us have so many one-on-one open look, like gilt-edged, perfect scoring opportunities in that period when we made the Champions League last year, as I have under any coach. Even when we would play incredible offensive football, Conte's system, like it or not, got us these looks that were like incredible, like you could have scored. And so my point is that I think that if we got him the players that he needs, which I don't think is an entire team, I think it's mostly the defense. I think that the style, this boring Conte ball, no one was saying that last year when our counterattack was just
I
was. Yeah. Many fans were, because what he does is the counterattack, right? Which we're not even doing this year. Listen, it works with top players. I think we said this before. It works with top players.
But it worked last year.
But all right, then I'll throw one to you, Anthony, and the rest of the panel. Take Poch's time and Conte's time. When you watched the team under Poch and the team under Conte, which team did you always think would still score a goal to win the game?
Pochettino's team.
Exactly. You sat and watched Pochettino's team till the 95th minute, whatever, and you always had belief we would win. You watch Conte's team now, and as soon as that first goal goes in, you think, oh, fuck. In fact, as soon as the game kicks off, you think, we've lost.
Well, sorry. Yeah, one of my favorite games of all time, was under Pochettino. Before my dad died, we played Man City and we played Man City up at the Etihad, and we won 2-1. And Eriksen did the through ball. I think it was Lamela who scored the second goal, if I remember rightly, that game. Yeah. And all through the day, I never felt we were going to lose.
Yeah.
I never felt that. With Conte, even in the summer during the preseason, as soon as this other team scored, it was like we have nothing to break them down. We can't break them down. We've got no creativity in the middle to even spread the ball to the wings to get the wing backs into play. There's nothing like that at all at Tottenham Hotspurs. And this is why I said that we needed someone in the middle. Oh, he doesn't play through the middle. It's not that he doesn't play through the middle. It's that we can't play through the middle because all our 4 midfielders are the same guy. They're basically defensive midfielders. There's no creativity in there whatsoever. There's no one to spread the play in there whatsoever. So it becomes bland.
Yeah.
But when you look at Inter, they've got people like trying to think of their midfield. But you've got people like Brozovic here be able to spread the play. You've got people like Barella, be able to spread the play. You've got people like Fabregas at Chelsea who can spread the play. You've got people like Pogba at Juventus who can spread the play. You've got people like Pirlo, the conductor, who could spread the play and orchestrate the midfield. You don't have that at Tottenham Hotspurs. There's no one like that whatsoever. That's why I said to you, his system will not work here.
That last season under Poch, when we played City in the Champions League and then played Ajax, did anybody ever think we still wouldn't win that game? We still all had belief that we could still get through it. And
we'd find a way.
I agree.
You won now.
I've got a super chat I want to go through. Just quickly, though, just something to think about. I'm going to end the show in 5 minutes as well. Harry Redknapp, I'm chucking his football into the mix as well. I enjoyed watching Harry's teams play. Super chat here from Phil P. Big up, one of the other Phils. There's so many Phils around. He's put rebuild, build. We need a restoration job. Enoch out. I think we all agree on that. This guy, M. Dot, he said, no, you weren't, Savva. You were celebrating when you was winning games and making top 4 flip-flop. Now, I'll tell you what, anyone who knows me closely knows this to be completely false. Anyone who's worked with me, anyone who talks to me about football all day, every day, knows this is not true. Now, were there some good games at the back end of last season? Yes. But what that is doing is also forgetting there were some god-awful games. Losing at home 1-0 to Brighton. Losing away at Burnley 1-0. Losing to Middlesbrough in the FA Cup, right? We beat Burnley 1-0 at home through a penalty decision because we couldn't break them down. It wasn't all sunshine and roses. And the last comment I want to see here is, I feel like this is, Mikhail, I feel like this has gone right over your head. This is the exact point we're making. Guardiola, Klopp never won anything at the club who wasn't established winners already. So what argument is that? You need to be a very qualified manager to get jobs at the best clubs. That's the point, Mikhail. That's the point. It wouldn't matter if we had Guardiola or Klopp here either. That's the point. They are managers that go to big clubs, buy and win, right? Conte's not getting that here. Look, I suppose I'm biased on this because if there is going to be a build at this club, which has to happen, I don't want it to be with this manager. I'm sorry. That's just me.
Can I ask you one thing? Sav, who would you want? Who would you? I'm not challenging you. I'm literally asking you. So I'm not asking you that to be glib. Who would you realistically want if you could put it, even if they wouldn't want to come to Tottenham? Who would you want? Name a couple guys. I'm literally curious. Honestly, I'm not challenging you.
Nagelsmann.
Look, for me, I think first of all you have to answer the question: what do I want them to come in and do? Right? I think lots of times football fans say things like, this manager's crap, that manager's crap, this manager's great. I see that the next manager that comes in, the remit isn't winning things. We're not there. The remit needs to be build the squad, build an ethos, get a plan in place, get a transfer plan in place, It might mean a few years of not having Champions League football, but build that ethos so that when, like Soren said earlier, when that manager goes, the next manager who steps in doesn't have to be a replica, but has the same ethos, the same beliefs in Potter leaving Brighton, De Zerbi joining, right? Same style of play, same way that they move, move with the ball, the patterns, the neat triangles, the pressing. So for me, I would take anyone that's young, hungry, passionate, a Vincent Kompany, an Eddie Howe type.
Thomas Frank.
Savva, you're not going to like me when I'm going to say this to you. You're not going to like what I'm going to say to you. And it's this. I think the best manager that we can get coming forward is Pochettino, and I think he would take the club back to where we were. Hopefully, if he's given the money this time, because there is no ground, there is no stadium anymore. There is no excuses for Levy anymore about not giving him any money. Give it back to Pochettino. and let him do what he should have done in the first place.
Phil,
The biggest mistake we made was when we had Poch. He went back into the academy and everything and started playing. Everyone was playing the same style of players.
Correct.
We say we've got no players coming through from our academy. Well, yeah, because they don't suit the bloody system.
Right, yeah, because like Brian Daigle says here, we go offensive, defensive. So the academy's all over the place because you don't know what manager you're going to do. So if you have an offensive manager and then you have your academy set up for offensive system for that manager and then go to a defensive one, then the players that you've got in the academy are now no good.
I'll tell you,
let's set the requirements now.
After Poch was Nagelsmann.
Now I would go for Pochettino. Bring back tried and tested.
After Poch, when he went last time, we should have got Nagelsmann.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Style of manager carried on, but probably better.
How about a realistic manager though? That like since Nagelsmann's not coming, who realistically would like Thomas Frank? I'm being serious. Like who realistically?
I'd take De Zerbi. I'd take obviously Howe's not going to come.
Okay.
I just want. Listen, just quickly. I'm going to keep going if everyone wants to. I know Kuva. I know you need to jump off.
Yeah.
But again, when we have these conversations, Anthony, I've got to be really clear about it, right? Somebody here has said this, right? Savva, you can't name a manager because you know they will all fail. I've just named about 5, right? But for me, it's what does fail mean? I am not blaming Conte for anything. Kuva knows he's worked with me for a year now. I am saying there's no point in being here. I'm not blaming him for anything. But the point is the next manager, if it comes in, someone young, hungry, progressive, one of that mold of manager where we go, okay, you haven't been brought in to win us things. Yeah. Someone that would take a Jed Spence and go, all right, let me see what I can get out of this guy. Someone that's happy to play Porro and Adoji and Papa Sarr or
exactly, and we don't need to spend big on them. So Ryan Mason in, let's ride the wave to 10th place and enjoy some crazy football.
Savva, I'll ask you a question.
There's no point otherwise.
I know you agree with me on the Conte thing. If Conte
I really do have to go, lads. So I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, see you later, Kuva.
Thanks, Kuva.
Nice to meet you. Yeah, Thomas fan, please.
We got
See you later.
Savva.
Yeah,
you think the same as me with Conte. Let's twist it a little bit. If Conte came out now today, and he'd signed a 3 or a 5 year contract to show he was going to build a team, would it change your mind a little bit?
I've said all along, Soren.
Great question.
If he signs a contract, first of all, I think he's an idiot. Right?
Yeah.
But putting that aside, the moment he signs on that dotted line, there are no excuses now. It cannot be Conte's not being backed, Conte this, Conte that, because he knows. He's seen how we work for 18 months. He knows how we operate as a club. So if he's signing on that dotted line, for me, then there's no hiding. There's no he's not accountable for what's happening here.
Yep.
No, you've signed, right? For me, best thing you can do, go to a club where you're going to be backed. And let's build here because nothing's going to be built under this guy. I'm sorry.
No.
I'm sorry. Jack, welcome to the show, man. Where do you sit with all of this?
Oh, hi, mate. I didn't realise I was in. I had a question for everyone because I generally don't know if Pochettino comes back. Is this the first Spurs manager that we've brought back to the club? Do you know what I mean? Have we ever rehired a
about 95 goes, didn't he?
Oh,
Who did?
David Pleat had about 95 goes, didn't he?
Pleat came back, didn't he?
Shreves?
What's his name?
Did Peter Shreves have a couple of bites at the cherry as well, Soren? Hang on. You know who knows things like this? It's my mate Google.
Yeah, I can say go on to Google. Bring Tim Sherwood back.
Because I'm just thinking like if that's the case, then you would like to think he doesn't rejoin if he knows it's going to go the same way. Do you know what I mean? Like Pochettino doesn't strike me as an idiot. He obviously loves the club. I get that, but if he knows he's going to be treated as badly as he was the first time round with no backings at all.
But again, I don't know if you've been here the whole stream. I keep hearing people say he was treated badly. If he was treated so badly, why would he want to come back?
This is my point I'm making. If he joins, surely he gets guarantees, is what I'm trying to say. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, he will.
But what I'm saying is, though, I mean, we know he was treated bad at the end because he was sacked. You know, that's
yeah.
But what I'm saying is, if he wasn't happy with the rest of his tenure as Tottenham manager, then he wouldn't be even thinking about coming back now. So
that's what I'm saying.
That's because he's got unfinished business. That's because when he went to PSG,
he went to. I mean, we go on about not winning anything as a club. In the last under ENIC, we've been to 7, 8 finals.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, we've only won 1. So
yeah, but we didn't push on.
Yeah, but the point was we've been to 7 finals where we could have had a totally different history of another 7 trophies.
Soren, here's a question for you.
Yeah, but we didn't push on.
Hang on, here's a question.
But we had the players then to win the final because we was already there.
Yeah, right. I know. And so when you fall down, and this sadly Cooper's not here yet, but there's a line in Batman. It goes, "Why do you fall, Master Bruce? So you can get back up." When you fall down, because you haven't got to, because you get to the final, but you haven't got the rest to push on. What you do, when you get to the final, and you don't win it, what you do then is you get back up and you go again, and you push on next time to do it again, even better than you did before.
Further, but it didn't happen. That's what should happen.
That's what should have happened, but he didn't do it. Daniel Levy didn't do that.
He fell down, but he didn't have the people around him to go, right, here you go.
Hang on, Phil. This is the thing for me, right? As much as managers haven't been backed and blah 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 blah, we know this. I do agree with Soren. We got to enough finals, semi-finals under Poch that for me is where I do think he did fail.
Yeah, okay.
Listen, I don't get me wrong. I don't think every time a club gets to a final they should win it. Like that's just not life. That's not how it works. But we were arguably at the time had the best 11 in the league for a lot of that time, right? And when it came to those crunch games, right, when it came to the crunch semis and the final, he didn't get over the line. Now,
so I'm gonna say this to you, Savva. Now, Savva, remember we were talking about Liverpool earlier?
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna go with this one, Remember when Liverpool lost the final to Real Madrid? What did they do?
Yeah, but you're changing the argument.
No, but what did they do, Savva? They went back again the year afterwards and they won it. Yeah, but Phil, they got the missing pieces they needed, and they went and pushed on again and got back to the final and won it.
Hang on, but Phil, that's not the. I like what you're doing. You're taking my point, ignoring it, and then going with something else. My point is this, right? The fact that the team managed to get to the semis and the finals means they were good enough to win it. The fact that they got there, right? The fact that when people say he didn't have the team to win a Champions League final, but he got there knocking out Man City, Dortmund, playing Barcelona, knocked out Ajax, right? The cup semi-final when Pochettino dropped, I think it was a cup semi-final against Man United, when he dropped Walker and Lloris, and you're like, what are you doing? The year later or the year before, I can't remember which order it was, when he's putting Hong-Min's son as a left wing back, right? North London derbies where he dropped Toby Alderweireld, put one Foyth in at centre half, and Aubameyang got 2 or 3 in a 4-1 or 4-2 defeat. Look, I love Poch for what he did at the time, but we can't sit here and say that he didn't get over the line completely because of Levy. I'm sorry.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that, Savva. I'm not saying that at all. Yes, he makes mistakes. Yes, Pochettino made mistakes. Playing Hong-Min's son at left back in that semi-final was a mistake. I'm not saying that. He wasn't perfect. Nobody is perfect, Savva. We all make mistakes. That's part of being human. But what I'm saying, is that when you get to them stages, and when you don't win it, what you do is you then say, you know what, let's go again, but let's put the bits in that you're missing, and then go again.
I think it's a mentality thing as well. Like you said earlier with Liverpool, they obviously had that. It wasn't just because they signed new players to then go and do it again. They clearly had that sort of mentality to go and do it again. where like I think we saw that because after our defeat in the Champions League final, that was the season afterwards where Poch got sacked. The mentality just went through the window.
You can even put that argument in there to Arsenal right now, where they finished 5th last year, yeah, and they failed to make Champions League last year.
Yeah, exactly.
And look at them now this year, yeah. Look how they used the disappointment from last year as an incentive this year to go to the next level.
Sure, but the fact is, the fact that year after year we were getting to semis and finals tells you that we were good enough. Right? For me, he had to have got over the line in one of those semis.
I agree with you on that. That was a disappointment.
Right? Now, this is the key thing for me. That
is true.
Again, you look, every big game, every big semi-final, final, Poch got wrong. Every single one. Right? Even the night that no one can forget, the Champions League semi-final, that wasn't on Poch.
No.
It wasn't on how we played. It was Lucas Moura from nowhere and hasn't happened since, suddenly turning into Ronaldinho, right? But this is the thing for me. Poch did well for the period of time he did well. But again, it's like the Conte thing now. Some people cannot apportion blame where it is due. Yeah. I blame these owners more than as much as the next man. But when we lose games, look at the moment, like guys, we lose games like to Aston Villa 2-0. And instead of coming out at the end and people going, God, that was shocking. Conte did this wrong. It's the owners. No.
It's both.
I mean, I'm just going to say something. I mean, somebody put a comment up a bit ago about me giving Levy a little bit too much credit or something. We've just argued. We haven't argued. We've just gone over the points that the manager made mistakes in those finals, which lost us the final. Now, if we'd have won 5 of those 6 or 7 finals and gone on and won the league when we should have won the league, when Leicester won it, would we still all be sitting here saying Levy out? No, we probably wouldn't. Now, one question I've got for everybody, because who is it who picks the players we sign? Is it somebody going to Levy and saying these are the players we should sign, or is it Levy saying these are the players I want to sign?
I'm not sure about that because we will never know that one.
Now, is it?
Well, why do we have scouts and director of football if they're not the ones picking the players that we? I'm not saying they pick they actually decide which ones in the end, but somebody must go to Levy and say these are the players we should be signing.
Well, we know the director of football goes to Levy and says, "Look, these are the players we should be signing," and it's Daniel Levy's job to say yes and sign them off. But obviously, he's not doing that.
Then, if somebody is telling Daniel Levy which players we should be signing, and Daniel Levy goes and signs those players, NG, all those type of players, how is it Daniel Levy's fault for signing those players if somebody's told him to sign them?
But then look at Grealish. Look at Skriniar. We were linked with Skriniar 2 years ago. Look at Dybala. Hitchin identified Dybala. Who was the one who was telling him there was not enough money to buy Dybala?
Yeah, but I'm not saying it's not Daniel Levy's fault for not getting them over the line. What I'm saying is there's 2 arguments here. One doesn't get them over the line, and 2 signs the wrong players. Who is it who's telling him to sign the wrong players then? Is it Levy or is it somebody telling him to sign them?
I think it's the finances. I think because the finances aren't there to buy the top players that the scouts are bringing him, then he's having to buy the next one down.
All those players are actually Daniel Levy's choices, not the ones that he's been given a list of.
No, I think they get a list, and because the prices of the players at the top of the list are too much for what Daniel Levy wants to pay, we're having to choose 6th or 7th down the list.
Let me sit on the fence here. Now, bear in mind when I ask these questions, I'm Enoch out, but I'm going to ask some questions here that I think will be pretty difficult for people to answer. When Spurs signed Emerson Royal for 32 million, right? Are we set? So he signed off a check for 32 million pounds. Are we saying, that was the best player Paratici could have got in that position for 32 million?
No, because he wanted Tomiyasu.
Hang on. Hear me out. You got to hear me out, right? But the fact is, Daniel Levy signed off that 32 million. So if he had come back with another player that was 32 million or less, Surely he would have signed that off as well. Now, also, when we look at this, Ndombele cost 65 million with what, add-ons, whatever, right? Are we saying that was Daniel Levy's plan? Because Daniel Levy would want a much cheaper player. So, as much as I don't like Levy and ENIC, sometimes I do feel that we're getting to the stage now where the hate has got to the point where we don't see any rationale down the middle. Everything is their fault. And I hate them, right? I do. I hate them.
Mm-hmm.
For example, when we lose 2-0 to Villa and everyone's just slagging off Levy, and it's like, hang on.
He wasn't playing. He wasn't the manager, yeah.
Right. When we lose to Man City, right, I get it. But when you're losing to Villa, not being able to beat Brentford, when you're getting knocked out to... I see people defend Conte for losing to Moura, getting knocked out of the FA Cup to Middlesbrough, getting knocked out of the League Cup this year to Nottingham Forest B team. That's not on Daniel Levy and ENIC.
No.
Right?
I mean,
that's not.
The one thing I'll come back with that, Savva, is, and I'm not going to name any particular names because I don't want to make it personal to them, but any one of us can go out and find snippets from journalists and things like that that either back ENIC or are against ENIC and Levy. Now, I can go out and I can probably find you snippets from Mourinho that said, what a great transfer window we've just had. We've signed these players. And then all of a sudden we didn't back Mourinho. Conte came out last year and said he was happy with the squad we had and the team, but yet we've not backed Conte. Pochettino, well, I'm happy with the squad. We don't need to sign any players. Oh, all of a sudden we haven't backed Pochettino. People on Twitter, if you want to find positives or negatives, you will always find what you want to find.
So,
now, of course. It's the same with YouTube channels as well. Like, all have like different agendas. You'll follow the ones that you know. If you want the truth, you'll follow the team.
Well, I disagree with that. It's not a matter of it being the truth. It's a matter of does it.
This is an example.
Agree with your opinion.
If you want to follow,
it's only the truth to your opinion. I mean, there is people in the chat. I mean, Stella and people like that. You know, total respect for them. I don't agree with them. But they will always find evidence to match what they believe.
Yeah,
I will always find evidence to match what I believe.
We all do. Don't get me wrong. Listen, I'm not going to mention any channel by name, right? I just don't want to be involved in that world. But for me, the point is now I'm seeing so many shows where you tune in to watch a football debate, and the debate actually isn't about football anymore. The debate, everything is just about Levy out.
And I'm for it.
I mean, one thing
I'll say, I came on your show like a few weeks ago, I think, and I think I said then I was bored of it. It's so boring now.
But one thing I'll say is, I'm sure it was Stell, brought up an absolutely pinpoint argument the other day. You go onto certain channels and they have too much going on with Tottenham, the sponsors or whatever, so they'll always find the positives.
Sure.
You'll go on to those people that are ENIC out, they'll always find the negatives. So it doesn't matter whether you believe in what they say or you don't believe in what you say, but you've got to find the little bits of information to what you believe. Now, there is loads of YouTube channels out there that are Tottenham's positive, Tottenham's negative. It doesn't matter which way you want to go. But once you've gone down that alley, you will never find anything positive or negative to say about that.
No, of course. This is the thing for me, Soren, right? And as I've said, right, I'm ENIC and Levy out, but because I want to have debates where that isn't the only thing talked about, right? I get told, "Oh, you're ENIC in." No, I'm not. But for the test of time, Soren, down the pub, right, in the playground with your mates when you were a kid, down the park when you were a kid, we debated. It was this player's crap, that player's crap. This manager did this wrong. Now it seems that that's gone. And every single game now, when I'm watching channels after channel, it's not a debate on was the substitution good. It's not a debate on, oh, I thought he got it wrong there. Or this player messed up here. It's Levy. And it's like, I get it, but it's draining now.
Yeah.
I agree with that. It is draining. I was watching Henry Wright the other day, and I actually said to Henry Wright in the chat, the 75th minute is when we're going to make a change. That's too late.
No,
it's way too late in the game to change the game.
But
That's Conte.
Now, Savva, don't you? No, shut up! It's my channel.
Hang on, I hadn't finished my point. So my point
all I was going to say is, but don't you think the fan base of Tottenham Hotspur has got so toxic? Because if you don't agree with Levy in or Levy out, you're scum.
Do you know what? Look, I'll be honest, right? I had a really good chat the other day with someone who runs one of the biggest Spurs channels, right? I'm not going to name names, and really lovely guy, and we was just having a chat about, you know, how toxic the fan base is and about this and that. And he said something really that struck with me. And he said, look, first and foremost, it's not my responsibility. Like, it's not. I've started a channel. I want football debates, but it's not my responsibility to get the owners out. So when people are shouting and screaming at him, you've got a big channel, you should be doing this, he's going, well, hang on. It's my channel. Yeah. I'll do what I want. I might want the owners out, he said. I might not. But that doesn't mean I have to sing and dance about it, right? He wants to talk about football. Now, equally, look, we've got to be fair. If any of these channels are sponsored, right? If they are sponsored, fair play to them. Some of these boys do this for a living, right? People like me, people like Henry, we work as well as do the show, right? We're not in that position. I'm not in a position where I make enough money from YouTube that I can turn around to the wife and go, I'm never going to work again. I'm going to sit here for 10 hours a day and chat football, even though that would be my dream, right? But the point is this. These guys and girls, some of them, they get the sponsorship because this is their business, right? Now, whether that sponsorship is with someone at the club, whether that sponsorship is with a huge company, a presence on YouTube or a drinks or food, or if it's your business, you're going to do that, right? And if that company then turns around and says to you, look, we're going to sponsor you. I'm not saying they do, by the way, this is all conjecture. If that company does turn around and say, look, we can sponsor you. We're going to give you X amount of thousands a month. But what we can't be seen to doing is constantly saying, ENIC out, Levy out, ENIC out, Levy out. Now, if that money is significant enough to your monthly income, you're going to go, yeah, I won't do that. Henry and I had this chat yesterday. We're not big enough for that. At the moment, no one's approaching me going, hey, here's $5,000 a month, right? But that's the thing. We can't tell other fans, we can't tell other channels how they should run their channel, how they should be ENIC or Levy out. Because what it's actually doing, and I've said this to the people that are the main ENIC Levy out people, what they're doing is they're sitting on a fence, right? These people who are sitting on a fence, imagine. Mm-hmm. Rather than invite them in and talk to them nicely and bring them into our side of the garden, what we're doing is actually kicking them so hard, we're pushing them back further into their garden, right? Where they don't want to be bullied. They don't want to be told that you have to be ENIC out and you're the problem. And I used to be like that. But more and more now, I'm just kind of sitting back going, that's not why I started my channel. I didn't start my channel so that every single answer in my comments is ENIC Levy out.
Right. Firstly, yes, Savva, can I say this quickly? Right. Firstly, big you up. Because I followed the 24-hour stream through the hospital and I love your course and I follow your show, not just because of Tottenham or football, but because of what your values and the fact that you're giving back to the hospital. That's firstly what I big you up and I big up Kuva because you two men are soldiers to me. Now, I am bored to hell of Daniel Levy and ENIC. I don't want to just concentrate on them. I want to talk about football because I've been following football for a long, long time. I had the Merlin sticker book when I was a little boy and I've been following football for nearly 30 odd years. Now, I follow football in Italy, which is why I say that to Iggy, because I've been following Italian football for as long as it's been on Channel 4. Now, I want to just do a football debate with anyone. And I challenge anyone for a football debate. Just pure down to the football team and the way they play and the style of football. I like attacking football. Now, the next thing I'm going to say, is it is boring as hell to hear about ENIC in, ENIC out, all this crap. Yes, ENIC are not the best thing for Tottenham. Yes, they stunt. Yes, they have held the club back. But we are more than that. And when you sit down and you watch Tottenham, they are so boring to watch. It's like having your teeth extracted. That's how boring it is. I fell asleep to watching Tottenham. That's how bored I am of watching Tottenham when I see Conte's Tottenham right now. It is absolutely boring.
Can I just do some super
The
chats?
one thing.
Sorry, I just need to do some super chats I haven't done, so apologies. Just quickly, Brazen Bull, thank you very much, buddy. Hope you're well. Great picture, by the way. I said, how much a year transfer budget do you reckon Poch would need to rebuild to title challenge within 2 to 3 years, Enoch or Black Gold? I mean, I don't think we're in a title challenge in 2 to 3 years with any manager. I think there's so much that needs to be done. And also, we talk about a rebuild as though that the other clubs are still going to not continue to buy. So for me, I don't really think it's a 2 to 3 year job. I don't think this is the right job for Poch. I don't. I think how it all ended with him before. Most of the players that he had, well, a lot of the players he had then are still here. I think he's an idiot if he comes back, the same way I think Conte's an idiot if he signs. Steve D has said, big up Steve D, big supporter of the show, said for 300k a week, is it too much to ask Conte gets a tune out of a couple of our 12 defensive players? Look, guys, I'm gonna go for another 15 minutes, by the way. But yeah, look, I do think there is an element of that as well, Steve, is, as I've said before, do I think we've got the greatest players? No. But there are managers out there that get the tune out of very cheap, free players that have come up from the Championship more than this guy gets a tune out of anyone.
Fulham, Crystal Palace, Brentford, etc., etc.
Jack, you look, Fulham came up last year, right? Their entire back four played in the Championship last year. People like Harry Reid in centre mid, right? Willian's about 34, 35, whatever he is, right? Who's the Bobby
Robertson,
Bobby Cordova-Reid, players like that, and look how they played us off the park in the first half the other night.
Yeah,
right. So when we're talking about bad players, yeah, we got bad players in positions, but for me, when people talk about a world-class manager at least makes you
gets them playing. Yeah, that's
not the Forest players off the field.
But can I just point out, we're saying we've got a world-class manager here.
I don't
and all the fans are telling.
No, but,
I mean, as a natural manager, he's you know, he's a winner. We're all saying we've got a shit back three, back four, whatever we want to say, but yet Conte has told us our defense is good enough.
Yeah.
So are the fans right or is Conte right? You know, I mean, we all know we're saying, but to me, if we go out and sign a centre back, a left-sided, and say Porro, all of a sudden I think I'm not saying we're going to win the league. Don't get. I'm not. Going
but he gets the tune.
We're challenging.
Yeah, but I don't think we're challenging, but we're a better shape than we are now. And I wouldn't say now. Yeah, I say our window is a 4 out of 10.
But that's
if we've got them players, and it'll be a 6 out of 10 or a 7 out of 10.
No, but that's 3 players that we need. It's not a full rebuild. This is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Look, for me, guys, this is the thing. There's so many different things to be said, but as I've said before, from the test of time, managers have taken blame for not doing well in certain games. Managers have left clubs because that's what happens. When we're losing 6 out of 11 games and then you're told that Conte couldn't have done a thing. You know, I go on to some shows and I get some people in my chat. I'm not going to name names, but they know who they are. And it's, all right, Lloris isn't playing well. Give Forster a go. Oh, I can't do that. Okay, all right, Son's not playing well. Why don't you put Kulu in the hole and put Richarlison and Kane up front? Can't do that. Can't drop Son. Right. So basically what we're saying is this manager just doesn't have to do a thing.
Yeah.
And will never take blame for it.
Yeah.
That's how I said the same thing. We should play 3-5-2 and put Kulu in the hole.
Hang on. Two in midfield against Arsenal. I don't know. I mean, how often do we have to see us get overrun in there?
Look, I mean, Savva, that's the longest running argument we've had, though. I mean, we were saying it in the summer that Pierre and Bentancur not good enough. Pierre's shit. Bentancur has good games and bad. If you play 2 midfielders against 3, you're gonna get overrun. Now we pay Conte 300 grand a week, whatever it is, and he can't see this, but everybody else can see this. So this is the problem that every game we come in and we always say, oh, we need to put 3 in midfield. If we'd have put 3 in midfield against Arsenal, we'd have looked a lot better.
I think that's the thing, though. I think like so many when he was at Chelsea, so many Chelsea fans are happy to see him leave because the thing that like all the things they said was, oh, he's really stubborn. He's really stubborn. I think he does see it. I think he does see it because you can't be, none of us are managers, but we can see it, right? But he's that stubborn. I think he's trying to make a point that he's clearly not happy, and he won't change. But
there's a difference between stubborn and, to me, not good enough. A good manager, to me, comes in, looks at the team he's got to play with.
I agree.
Says, I need to play this system with these players until you get me the players to suit my system.
I absolutely agree.
Yeah, but Conte's not like that. Conte is stubborn. And you can hear it, and that's been thrown at him since the days of him being at Juventus. He's a stubborn manager.
But it's like Savva's already said. Nobody's laying the. I mean, I know we are now, but people aren't laying the blame at Conte. They're laying the blame with Levy.
I told people before. I blame everybody. Everybody's at fault.
It's got to be one at a time. Sorry, it's killing me. It's killing me. One at a time.
Sorry, Sam.
One at a time. Look, I don't blame Conte for the club, right?
No. But for the playing from week to week on the pitch, he's not getting enough out of the players we've got because he is too stubborn to play a system that suits us.
I agree. Like when you look at, I mean, listen, I've seen Stell explain why we shouldn't play three in the middle, but I disagree with him. At the end of the day, they're not always, by the way. In games when you're going up against teams that love having the ball, Arsenal, Man City, it's common sense. Yeah. You get bodies in and around the De Bruynes, the Odegaards. You get bodies in and around them. To play two is just ridiculous. But look, Stell's got his view. I've got mine. It's all cool. For me,
but here's a question for you, Savva. Yeah, what's the point of playing three in the middle? Yeah, when all three of our players are the same player, we have no other any other type of midfield except for defensive midfielders. When they're all the same, yeah, playing a three in midfield doesn't work. You need to have midfielders with variation, and we haven't got that at Tottenham.
That's not true, though. The whole point is no one said play three in the middle every game. Like at home to Bournemouth, I don't need to see three midfielders.
Mm-hmm.
But when we're playing Arsenal or Man City, right, I don't expect to see 2 versus 3.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And when they've got players like Odegaard and De Bruyne and Grealish and all these people that will tear you apart. Now, the big thing for me is this. Yes, we've got too many midfielders that are like for like. Right? I get that. That's another problem where if Conte's not happy with that, he should say something or walk or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I keep hearing that it's never worked with 3 in the middle, right? There's been games when it has and games when it hasn't. If you remember the Leicester game where we won 6-2, Maddison was brilliant and was overrunning us in that midfield. He bought on Basuma. He bought on Son, put Basuma into a 3-man midfield, stopped the supply, and we won 6-2. Brighton away, which is probably arguably the best team we've beaten this year. Brighton away. He started all 3 in the middle. It was the best I think we'd looked as a team.
Yeah, but when we played Man United and played 3 in the middle, we got beaten.
Phil, dude, you got to let me know, right? Right? It allowed Bentancur and Højbjerg to go and press, and we stopped Brighton from playing out. Now, yeah, it didn't work against Man United. No one's saying it's going to work every game, but the problem is this. If so many fans can see it, Neville said after the game, like, why have you gone with 2 in midfield against the most in-form midfield 3 in the Premier League?
I mean, the thing is, we look at it. Let's look at the Arsenal game. We played 2 in the middle against them. Everybody before the match knew we should have played 3. Doesn't matter which 3, you play 3. Now, it's all right saying all our midfielders are the same. Well, they're not, really, because if you played Højbjerg, Sarr and Bentancur, if they were fit, Bentancur or Højbjerg can go forward. Sarr was bloody good in that game. For a young lad coming into his first start, I mean, you felt sorry for him because he was always going to be overrun, but we've got the players to do it. But it's like Savva's just said, you've got to pick your games when you do it. And that's the problem with Conte. It's 3-5-2. We all said there should have been changes against Fulham the other night and things like this. He's never going to do it. He's never going to change his system. We'll win enough games to do what we need to do.
I agree. Agreed. Look, I mean, Lloris at the moment, mistake after mistake after mistake. He knows he's not getting a game. Sorry, not getting dropped. Equally, Forster knows he's not getting a game. So straight away there, you got one complacent goalkeeper and one goalkeeper who's pissed off.
Yeah, but you could say the same thing about Dyer. Dyer can make mistake after mistake after mistake. Look at the Newcastle game, when he made that bad pass, and it basically gave Newcastle the impetus to go and beat us.
You know,
he was not dropped for the next game because there's no one to take his place, Savva. So he gets complacent in there.
You know the one that was an absolute piss take was Brentford, where the ball came down. Was it Brentford? The ball came down. He had all the time in the world, no pressure. Swats it off for a corner, and was it that Brentford game?
No, the Newcastle game, before they scored a goal, right? He got a pass from, I think it's Ben Davies, and then he passes it to Romero. And when he passes to Romero, you can see that he made a wicked, really poor pass. It gave Newcastle the impetus, and then they started to attack us. And then they scored their first goal. And it was a really poor mistake. And it was like they give Newcastle, it raised Newcastle's levels up, and that's what gives them the impetus to beat us like that.
But the thing is,
now, and then you can even see it in the Leeds game last season when he turned his back on the defender. He is a poor defender, and he gives the other team the impetus to go and attack us.
Of course.
And even when they clear the ball like against Nottingham Forest, when he clears the ball forward, it goes straight to their player because he's not exactly being able to pass it correctly because he's not that good a player to be able to do long balls correctly like Jan Vertonghen, Toby Alderweireld was. So it goes straight to that team, and then they're straight on the attack again.
Phil, but you said that Dyer didn't ever get dropped. Dyer has been dropped for games this year.
Yeah, Longlay's played in centre.
Players like Son and Lloris just game after game after game after game.
Yeah, that's why I like Danjuma signing. Because at least now, we've got options. If Son is not performing, we can finally be able to rest. I don't want to offend Son fans, and I don't want to have him on your show, Savva, saying that I'm a Son out, but to have the option to finally be able to say, look, Son, have a rest because you played a lot of games this year.
He had that option before, Phil. These are excuses. Yeah. He had that option before. As I said, you could go 5-3-2, right?
Mm-hmm.
Could go 5-2-1-2 and stick Kulu in the hole and not have the wide. There's things he could do, but there's always an excuse as to why he doesn't. Now, as I said on my show the other day, I once worked for a great manager, right? Not in football, but who always said to me, try things. Try things. If it's not working, try things. It might be that you end up coming back to what you had originally, but try it. And if you don't know, if you don't try, you'll never know.
Yeah, experiment.
The problem with this fan base, not all of it, sorry, I say that too much. The problem with a lot of our fan base is even now you go, all right, bring in Danjuma, give him a couple of games. Say to Son, you know what? We're going to give this guy a couple of games. I'm going to bring you back in 2 to 3 games. When I do, I need to see more from you. Oh, my God, you can't start Danjuma over Son. Danjuma is nowhere near the player of Son. And it's like, well, yeah, he's nowhere near the player of last year's Hong-Min Son. This year's Hong-Min Son. You could pick any player in the Premier League who plays on that left-hand side and they'll be as good as Son.
And also, we did that once this season, and he came on and scored a hat-trick. Now, obviously, we're not saying he's going to do that every single time, but
let's just backwind a little bit. The system this year compared to last year is slightly different, and it's slightly different. And to me, it's not necessarily that Son's not playing well. I mean, we know he's not playing well, but the system for him has changed. He's not playing the same role as he played last season. And people are saying he's down tools. He hasn't down tools. You can see the elation when he does score a goal or does some. He's still there. The system has changed for Son. Now, I'm not saying he shouldn't be dropped because I do think he should be dropped. But, it's all right putting Danjuma in there. But again, if the system doesn't totally suit him, he's not going to look good.
Yeah, so, okay then. So you got that one, yeah? So what was his excuse in the World Cup for playing for South Korea?
I'm not saying he's not playing well because he's not playing well. I do agree. But we look at a lot of players. If we can go back over the years, we can look at Emerson now. If you're not playing in the position that totally suits you, in a role that really suits you, then you're not going to look good. You can make a player look bad. Look at Basuma. One of the best midfielders in the league 2 or 3 years ago, we're now playing. All of a sudden, Conte says he's not intelligent enough to understand his system. Well, maybe the system doesn't suit him. Maybe
he plays in the free. He plays better in the free.
Yeah,
Basuma played better in the free. That's why Brighton played the free.
But it's
and
like
if Conte really and truly, if Conte played the system that he played at Inter Milan with our team, you'd see a better Basuma.
Yeah,
I agreed.
And it's like, Son, if we suddenly went back to playing on the break like we were last season, Son may look slightly better. Now, I'm not, like I've said, I think he should be dropped because he isn't playing well. But that's because his confidence has totally gone as well. Now, is that his fault, or is that the system that is suddenly changed? Because it's all happened since we got Perisic in.
I think we should go on.
Sorry, just really quickly. I'll come to you in a sec, Jack. This is a really good point. This is what makes me laugh. You had Eddie Howe who turned up at Newcastle, right? And this team, if I'm right, it was 14 games, no wins for the beginning of their season. They were rock bottom. People were saying, oh my God, they've just been bought by Saudi billionaires. They could be the first billionaire owners team to be relegated, right? That's how bad they were. From that team, every week this season and last season, he starts Almiron, Willock, Longstaff, Shaw, Joe Linton, right? 5 straight away. So when people go, oh, these players are crap, there's nothing that can be done with them. Well, hang on, Eddie Howe's got those 5 who were, let's be fair, awful.
Wouldn't have got into our team last year, would they?
Right, exactly. And now all of a sudden, all of them have raised their game. All of them. Almiron scoring goals. Joe Linton looks a completely a man reborn. Shaw looks like a solid centre half and plays in a 2 at the back that has conceded 11 goals all season. So my question is this: for all the people that tell me there's nothing Conte can do, who has Conte got the best out of? Because he's not getting the best out of Kane. I don't care what anyone says. He's scoring goals.
I agree.
He doesn't look like Kane of old. Son looks worse than ever. Yeah. I think Højbjerg looks awful.
Yeah.
Who is he? Romero looks really poor. Who is he getting? Who is he upskilled? Who is he getting the best out of?
Now, you mentioned Newcastle, Savva, yeah? Right. Newcastle, in their first window, did they not buy Bruno Guimaraes, who was better than any other player they had in their team? That would elevate your squad, yeah, to want to be up to his level.
But
that is a good signing for them.
I'll do another one to back Savva up here. I'll do another one to back Savva up here. Man United last season compared to this year under Ten Hag. Manager has come in and he's got, I mean, I know they've signed some players, but he's come in and he has changed that squad. That is the one thing Conte is not doing.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Look at Dallon, Rashford, Luke Shaw, right? All of them. Bruno Fernandes has got his spark back again. All of these players now look like players. Now, this is my point. Yeah, you could say Newcastle brought in Bruno Guimaraes, but Bruno Guimaraes doesn't suddenly make 5 players really, really good.
No, but it elevates the squad, though, Savva, doesn't it?
Okay, but what I'd say...
Hang on, sorry, just really quickly, hang on. But we're making it sound like Conte's had nobody. No,
not saying that, Savva. I'm not saying that.
Phil, you've got to let me finish, right? You've got to let me finish, dude, right? This is the problem. We've brought in serial winner Ivan Perisic. We got the Italian Defender of the Year from 2 years ago, Christian Romero. We've got England captain, Spurs all-time goal scorer, Harry Kane, right? Bentancur, very good footballer. Kulusevski. So why are none of our players stepping up to that mark? Now, I'm not saying all of them, but that's the difference for me, for Eddie Howe, who's a coach and can work with players at this level, versus Antonio Conte, who is a manager that wins with players at the top level. That, for me, is fundamentally where Tottenham Hotspur are right now. We are Newcastle's level. We need a manager like that can upskill. Look, Eddie Howe changes his tactics during the game. You watch Potter and Howe during games. They change, they evolve, right? You watch Spurs winning, losing, getting battered, getting overrun. Same thing, all game. Same thing. I'm sorry, I'm just not.
Can I just say this, Sav? Two comments in the comments. Perfect. One, is this the Conte out crew? No. Should never have been here in the first place. 2, take the shackles off our players and see what they do And I'll tell you now, it'll improve.
I agree.
I agree.
Spurs. Yeah. What happens, guys? What happens every time we're losing a game and we have to chase it? Isn't it funny how all of a sudden, when the shackles are off and they stop playing the tactics, and we go for it, all of a sudden you go, hang on, we can play a little bit. But then you come to the start of the next game and it's everyone fall back. No, go behind again. All right, shackles off again, guys.
I think when we played City, I think our first half wasn't as bad as it was made out to be by fans, because, for prime example, was we nicked 2 goals just right before half time. We were playing that 5-minute period just before the break. I thought we were breaking them down a bit more. I think that was a prime example of they jacked off. They served the pressure, and we managed to get 2 goals out of it. Yeah, the first one was a bit of a mistake by the keeper, but the second one, we broke quite quickly, and we could see it was the first glimpse of what I think we were trying to do the entire 2 months that we've been playing football. Do you know what I mean? It was almost like, like you said, the shackles had come off. Even I hate him as a player. I can't stand him, Emerson Royale. But he was high up the pitch. He received the ball. He scored the goal for the second one. But yeah, I think there's small moments in games where you can see all the players change and they push up a bit more and they try to play a bit more free flowing football. But then it's like you say, come to the next game, it's the same stuff. It's back to the usual: sit back, try and play out from the back with 3 defenders that we all know can't play out from the back at all. It's ridiculous.
Here you go. Just quickly, I agree with all of it. Just quickly, I want to bring up this comment from Robert. Right, this is where Google is our friend. Right. First and foremost, let's not pretend since Antonio Conte's come in. Yeah, let's not pretend that all of these players were not his players. Right. He's had Kulusevski, right? He's got Bentancur. He bought in Basuma, right? He's bought in Perisic. He bought in Longley. Romero is a good defender, right? Now, here's what I want to show you. Have a look at this. Just going to share my screen.
Why are you doing that, Sav? How do we know Kulusevski and Bentancur were Conte's players rather than Paratici's?
Well, no, I don't. But my point is this.
Yeah.
You look at this team here, right? Hang on, let me just see if I move this down. Can you see it all now? The whole team.
You see up to the substitutes.
You look at that now. Yeah. Joe Linton, right? So 1, Callum Wilson, Almiron, Willock, Longstaff, Shah.
Yeah.
So over half the team is the team that was bottom of the table under Steve Bruce, right? So, yeah, he's got a few players in. But even then, let's have a look at this. If anyone had suggested signing Dan Burn, right, our fans would have gone mad. We signed Dan Burn for, right? Trippier, people going, wouldn't want him back. Nick Pope, not good enough with the ball at his feet. He's not the keeper we need, right? So from this, Botman, class. Botman should have got, and Guimaraes. But if I'd said to you, other than Guimaraes and Sven Botman, yeah, these 9 players is what Eddie Howe is working with, getting them playing good football, not conceding goals. Everybody in the summer would have laughed at me.
Yeah,
I didn't say it, by the way. I'm not saying I've said it, but everyone would have laughed. So for me, this just highlights that there is absolutely no excuse.
You're forgetting one player.
As to Conte not upskilling anyone, Conte not getting the best or getting a formation. We said this earlier, Kuva and I. They've conceded 11 goals to our 31.
Mm-hmm.
They've got Dan Burn, Fabian Schär in their backline. Right? Dan Burn and Fabian Schär. I'm sorry. 31 versus 11. And people are telling me there's nothing this man can do. I'm not buying it. I'm sorry.
Baffles me as well.
Savva, do you remember in the summer when we was chatting on these shows? And I mean, I was one of them. I'm not going to hide from it. And we all said, wait till Conte's had a pre-season, and then we're going to see how it's going to go. all of a sudden, all those players that had a pre-season with Conte have looked shit since.
Hang on. Just quickly. Mikhail, again, what I love about when I bring your comments up, Mikhail, is just how much you don't understand what I've said. I'm not talking about him upskilling Kulusevski and Bentancur. They were his signings. I'm not talking about him getting them upskilled. I'm talking about anyone that was at the club before he joined.
Before he came in, yeah.
Son, Kane, Højbjerg, yeah, Dyer, Davis, Doherty, no one is better than when he joined. No one. But Man United, Dalot looks like a quality right back. Wan-Bissaka looks really good. Yeah, Marcus Rashford. Look what's happened to Marcus. Yeah, put your arm around the players, get something out of them. There's too many excuses for this guy. I'm sorry.
Agreed.
The thing is with that sentence, though, Savva, that Kulusevski and Bentancur do. I mean, I remember seeing Juventus fans coming on telling us what shit we'd sign. The difference is they're actually playing now. That's the difference for them.
Week in, week out.
Yeah. Has Conte improved them? Yes and no.
Savva,
yes, he's improved them by playing them.
Cheers, mate.
Sweet. Cheers, mate.
Robert, Robert is an excuse. As I said there, Robert, you tell me in the summer, how many of that 11 of Newcastle are you taking at Tottenham? Be honest. How many of that 11? Because other than...
Well, let me start with 3 of them, first of all.
Go on.
Right. Botman, because I said Botman for years.
Yep.
Bruno Guimaraes.
Yep.
And even though he's injured, Alexander Isak.
Yeah, but that's not what I said. I'm talking about that 11 that played there.
Right, yeah, but even...
Isaac has hardly played. So this is his 11 that he goes with most games, right? This is his 11. So 2. So what we're saying is, in the summer, if I had said to Spurs fans, who wants these players? 2 would have been the answer. 2. And yet look what he's doing with that team. And it's not just that, obviously we're close to them in the league. It's the fact that they're playing very good football and not conceding doing it.
Yeah.
That is a proper coach for me. I'm sorry. That is a coach.
But the big difference is, though, that Newcastle team now is playing as a team, whereas Tottenham's team is not playing as a team. You can see that they're not happy.
Again, look, Faz, again, Google is your friend, right? Alexander Isak, who they bought, got injured in like his second appearance and missed 2 or 3 months. Yeah. Alan Saint-Maximin, wasn't he injured for like 3 months? Yeah, this isn't true. When you're saying context, you're lying. You're telling lies. I'm giving context, right? The point is they came in at the same time. I think Hal joined a week after Conte joined. Look at what they've done with the respective clubs since.
But going on that, though, I mean, we have had a bad run of injuries. But wouldn't that be the time to change the system to put players in that might just shore it up a little bit more?
I hate that excuse.
Hey?
I hate that. I'm sorry, Soren. I hate that excuse because Tottenham haven't had a bad set of injuries. If you want to go see a bad set of injury, go and look at Liverpool. Go and look at Chelsea. That people diss.
You didn't hear what I said. I said we've had some injuries, but that's not an excuse. We should have changed the system to suit what players we had left. I wasn't saying that's why we've lost games. I'm saying that, yes, we've had injuries up front. Change the system then to suit the players we've got left.
Agreed.
The problem is we're not good enough defensively. That's why we're losing games. All our injuries have been up front, not back. So change the system to suit the players we've got.
But he's stubborn. He don't do that. And so he's the wrong manager for the job.
That argument against it, Newcastle haven't had the injuries we've had. Yes, I agree with that.
And I'll tell
change
you what,
the system.
I'll tell you what, as I said to someone the other day, right? I watched Chelsea versus Liverpool at the weekend, right? And these are the players, right? These are the players between the two teams that were injured. So when our fans bang on about injuries, who? All right, we had Kulu out for a little bit, right? All right, Bentancur was out for 3 or 4 games after the World Cup, right? This is an injury list. Are you ready for this? Right? This is between Chelsea and Liverpool. These are their current players missing. Arthur, Luis Diaz, Diego Jota, Firmino, Virgil van Dijk, Fabinho, Broja, Chilwell, Fofana, Reece James, João Felix, N'Golo Kante, Mendy, Pulisic, Sterling, Zakaria, right? That is a whole squad of players, right? And those clubs, we're all going, oh, they're dead, they're finished. They are 10th and 11th or 9th and 10th in the league, respectively, because they have all their players out.
Yeah.
We have one or two out, and we go, but our injuries. No.
The thing is, though, with that, Sav, our main player that was supposedly build the team around, Kane up front, hasn't been out injured.
No.
So why are we still not winning?
Yeah, and
because Kane can't carry it on his own. It's too much to ask any man to carry the team on his own.
The point is, when we lost the players that we did lose, we didn't give anybody else a chance.
Yeah, but guys, can I say one thing? If I would have told you at the beginning of the season that halfway through the season, Lloris would be arguably like one of the worst goalkeepers in the Premier League, and Youngmin's Son would be arguably, and I really mean this, I'm not saying this to be hyperbolic, arguably one of the worst left wingers in all of the Prem, and by far this season. And not scoring at all, not affecting games at all. You basically are taking two players that are stalwarts to a team that isn't as deep as Chelsea or Liverpool, and that's a huge understatement, and taking them out of our squad, and in addition to the Kulusevski injury. So basically you've got 2 out of 3 of our mainstays on the front line are gone. We don't have, I mean, yes, I agree. Liverpool and Chelsea's injury list is worse, of course, obviously, numbers-wise. But they do have more depth than us. They do have a better youth system than us. They do have players that can at least come in. That's why they're 10th and not 18th. I'm not arguing that Conte has done this fantastic job, but I'm saying injuries affect us more than they do other teams. And you could just look at Son.
Yeah, but that's not having strength and depth, isn't it?
Wait,
I'm not buying that,
last
I'm
comment.
sorry.
One point to argue against that, though. If Lloris makes a mistake, it's a goal. Full stop. We know that. When Dyer makes mistakes, it's generally a goal. We know that. But the problem is, these players that are making mistakes, the rest of the team are playing shit as well. But they're the positions that suddenly, if they make mistakes, we've conceded. We know that.
Darcy's been making mistakes for the last 8 years he's been here. That's nothing new.
But what I'm saying is the whole team is playing shit at the moment. So the problem is when Dyer and Lloris make a mistake, there's nothing to cover it up anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
And, you know, Lloris is, I mean, he's been the best goalkeeper we've had for a long, long time.
Yeah, but that's one of the major problems because we never had someone to replace. We never had someone to give him competition.
But what I'm going to totally argue against that one. What I'm going to say is he's been the best goalkeeper we've had for a long, long time because we've had a better team in front of him. The team's playing shit now. So all of a sudden, our back 3 and 4 are making more mistakes than ever because there's no cover coming from the front.
Agreed. But again, if we're saying, look, but by the way, I think Lloris has been poor for years now, if I'm really, really honest. I agree with Son, but the problem is both of those, at no point has he removed them from the firing line. If we're saying that Lloris is this massive, massive concern and liability, at what point do you go, you know what, Fraser Forster, a solid Premier League goalkeeper, been in the Premier League for a decade, played for England, played in the Champions League, say, do you know what, he's making loads of mistakes. Let's see what you can do.
But Savva, what's the point in bringing Forster on when the team in front of him have got no confidence and it's going to make him look bad as well?
I like. That one I like, Soren. That is a good point.
Yeah, but guys, it works both ways. If you are not playing well and there is another player there who plays your position, if we are saying there is never a point in giving that person a go, then we can't complain in the same way that we don't have a squad. Right?
I mean, there's a comment there from BB. He disagrees because we've got more strength in depth than compared to last season. The problem is Conte won't use them.
Hang on. Let's have a look. Just quickly. Peter Simons, I want to say, right, yes, as I said, they're only 3 points ahead of us, but context. Look where they were when Eddie Howe picked them up. They were rock bottom of the league after having about 3 or 4 years of relegation battles, right? To, in 1 year, now above us, right? And we've spent more money than them in the time that Conte and Howe have been manager, right?
I think the whole strength and depth thing is a little bit wrong. I don't think we have more strength and depth than we did last year. We added a backup striker who doesn't see the pitch. I think we spent our money completely wrong. I think that when Son, who should be replaced, goes out, who's going to come in? Hill, and I even like the player, but he's not a goal scorer. So no matter what, it's not a like for like. It's not even the guy that we just got now would be a better shout.
Hang on then. So just to argue against that one, who's Arsenal's number 9? Jesus. Supposedly this great striker. How come Richarlison was in front of him for Brazil then? If you play Richarlison as a number 9, he will score goals.
Yeah, I agree. But our problem isn't its striker. And the thing is so then what do? You move Kane. In other words, what I'm trying to say is Son basically is a non-entity. It's like playing with 10 men. So when he could be sat, but for who? Who's this great backup that we got in the summer?
No. See, no, but this is where, Anthony, this is where the guy is paid 15 to 20 million pounds a year to make those decisions, right? Yeah. For me, try something new. I know our fans
into a 10 and Richarlison up front, like for example.
Right.
You know, okay.
Go 3-5-2.
Okay.
As I said, put Kulusevski in the hole. Give Brian Hill a game. The way Heung-min Son's playing, what does it matter if Brian Hill played?
Here's one for you, Savva. Why don't you play Hill in the hole? I want to see what Hill does in the hole.
Fair point.
Mate, I just want to see anything. If
I agree with you, that too. I want to see experimentation.
I'm so bored of 3-4-3 and never reverting away from it.
Definition of insanity.
Mm-hmm.
It is. Let's just get some comments. Sorry, I've got a couple of super chats that I've missed. Naughty me. Mbappe James, big supporter of the show as always. He said, how many players do you think you'll sign before the window? We'll talk about this in a minute, gentlemen. And Steve Deere said, we scored 4 against Palace and Leeds and 6 against Leicester. This we've scored loads of goals is hilarious and uneducated. Now, this is a good point because, yeah, we scored the goals. That's a fact. But when you actually go back and look at nearly all of our goals were spread about 6 or 7 games rather than all 22. Do you know what I mean? We really did stat pad big against Southampton, Leeds. Southampton, Leeds, Leicester. Southampton, Leeds and Leicester alone was nearly half of our goals. 3 games. Listen, by the way, people, I'm not sitting here saying Eddie Howe's the best manager since sliced bread. But for me, when I see a manager doing what he's doing down there, and then I see our manager doing what he's doing, I just think, sorry, the excuses at some point have got to run out. Because if Eddie Howe had joined our club, you're not telling me if Eddie Howe was playing the way that Conte is, that he'd be getting that time. None of us will be sitting here going, back Howe. We'd be going, see, he can't do it at a bigger club. For me.
Guys, Sav, can I just bring it up to now? What do you, please tell me this, because and I know you don't have a crystal ball, but please, God, tell me, what do you think is going to happen over the next 6 months? I'm talking Conte plays out the end of his contract and then leaves. Conte gets fired by Levy. Just what do you, I know you're not a fortune teller, but what do you feel like in your gut? Not what do you want? What do you kind of like if you had $1 million and someone just gave it to you to bet on, well, and you could just pick anything and win $1 million or be where you are now? What would you say is going to happen? What do you see happening? What do you feel in your gut?
Soren, I'll let you go first, my man.
You might not want to. Next 6 months, 2 scenarios. Conte stays, we get top 4. Conte goes, we get somebody in, we get top 4. Scenario 2, Conte stays, we don't get top 4, everybody wants Enoch out. Scenario 2, Conte goes, we get Poch in, we don't get top 4, everybody wants Enoch out. Nobody knows. We're either going to get top 4 or we're not. It doesn't matter who's here. Conte's gone in the summer, I think. Definitely. Full stop. And it's nothing to do with Enoch or getting backed. It is because he wants to go home and he wants to be the next manager at Juventus. Full stop.
Phil?
I want Conte to walk. because and then highlight why he can't get the players to implement his system.
Not what you want, sir. What you think is going to happen if you had to bet, sir. Not what you want. Being respectful. What you think is going to happen, not what you want.
I think Conte will see out his contract and then he'll be gone to Juventus in the summer.
Okay.
And then we'll bring back Pochettino, and Pochettino will be able to do what he should have done in the first place, because I think he should have never been sacked. But that's me personally.
Agreed.
I'm just going to read out a couple of super chats and buy myself just a little bit of time.
Okay.
I was going to say there's an amazing super chat there.
I know. I'm just about to read out. First of all, Rooksy Pop, big up my main man. How are you, sir? He said Arsenal has so much more ambitions than Spurs. Trying to sign top players like Casado, getting Trossard. I think Spurs could learn a lot from them. Unfortunately, you are very right. I'm jealous of everything Arsenal are doing right now.
I'm jealous of West Ham, actually. I'm jealous of them getting Paqueta.
I'm jealous of Leeds.
Yeah, same as that.
You know, Arsenal are bringing through young players. They're buying good players. They're buying players that suit the manager's system. Arteta mixes it up from 4 at the back. He can go 5 if he wants. They're playing wonderful football. Very, very jealous. And Brazen Bull, thank you so much. Lovely super chat there. Said, if you're a manager and players ignore your tactics in transition, then it doesn't matter who you play. Son lost his confidence, in my opinion, since his eye came out of his socket. I agree. Conte needs to mix up the tactics. Look, you're spot on with all of that. Listen, I don't think we ever absolve any of the players from blame. But for me, I want it fair. If there's going to be blame at Levy and Enoch's door, and there's going to be blame at the players' door, you can't say a manager that's lost 6 of 11 games and the best team he's beaten this season is Brighton is blameless for things. That's all it is for me. To answer your question, Anthony, what do I think will happen? I think I've said it all along. He won't be here next year. He'll walk. What I want to happen is I want him to walk now to show the board up. But what I think will happen, easy money, stay at Spurs, finish 4th. He's a hero. Finish outside 4th. No one gives him accountability anyway. Yep. Guy's got absolutely nothing to lose. And as I said earlier, if he signs a new contract, he is an idiot.
Do you think though, Sav? I mean, if we go back, was it a week, 10 days, 2 weeks, where that DiMarzio came out and said Conte was going home because he wasn't getting back, there's no contract. All of a sudden, then it's retracted to say there was a contract, but Conte still might go home. Do you think it's already settled and we know he's going home? That's why we haven't extended. Because, I mean, we could have easily said we're going to extend it by the year anyway and stopped all the speculation, as much as saying Conte could have signed. So, you know, there's... Oh, what?
No. So this is now doing the rounds. I don't know if you can read that. I'll read it out. Yeah. It says, Pedro Porro's 45 million release clause can only be triggered during the summer of 2023. Not now. Sporting now. Tottenham Hotspur Football Club for a higher fee to release him this month.
But Savva...
This club, man.
No, hang on a minute. You can't blame the club for that one.
Of course I can.
How can we blame our club if we've gone in and sort of had a bid accepted, which supposedly has happened? It's just the details of the bid now. I think what's happening is they want him to play on Saturday in this final.
They want him to play in the cup in the final.
And that's why all these rumours are now coming out.
But Soren, that doesn't change the fact. If I don't know this for sure, you don't, none of us know. If he is our number one target, and every sign points to that, right? Because we're not in talks with anyone else to the point where Romano's going deal close or whatever. Yeah. If he is our number one target, you pay what you need to pay to get him. If you're not doing that, move on to your next option.
Yeah, but Savva, the point is everybody's going on, why don't we just pay the release clause? Well, if there isn't a release clause there, we can't pay it. If it doesn't come in until summer 2023. So if we've gone in and said, this is what we'll pay, and it's been accepted, and yet everybody's saying just pay the release, how do we win?
Okay, but then go and get someone else.
I agree with you there.
We had this excuse in the summer.
Bastoni.
But Bastoni wasn't coming.
Right, no, I know, but Soren, this is my point. How many fans said, we inquired about Bastoni, he didn't come, oh, don't worry, we'll wait because we couldn't get our first option. No. Look at Arsenal and Chelsea this window, right? Arsenal's first option was Mudryk. Didn't get him. 2 days later, Trossard done. Lovely jubbly.
But
right?
let's just play devil's advocate here, Savva. So Conte turns around and says he wants Bastoni. Right. Bastoni doesn't want to come. And, maybe he said, I'll come next year. We don't know this. I mean, he's not coming, we know. But so Conte said, I don't want any other player unless I get Bastoni. So how do we know that hasn't been said? Because it's all speculation.
True, but can you imagine any manager turning around and going, the only player I want is that one player?
Yes, because
hang on. If we can't get that one player in a world full of players, then I don't want anyone. If that's the case, then I definitely do not want this man at the club.
But from what we've led to believe, Conte said he was happy with our defenders in the summer. Now, I'm not saying that's what has been said, Savva. I agree with you, but I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here. If he said it's Bastoni or nobody, and it's a ludicrous thing to say because we could have got Bremer, we could have got Ndicka, we could have got Nkapi, we could have got... Yeah, and I agree with you, but if he has said that and we don't know that, we all sit here and speculate about why haven't we signed him? Maybe there's a reason we're not signing them.
True. Just quickly, I just want to see this little conversation going on between Mo and Faz. Is cracking me up. Is Faz saying, I fear the day when we look back and say, why did we let Conte go? And then Moa says, Faz, yes, that will happen. They deserve everything that's coming. Right. I'm sorry. If Conte walked right now, what am I exactly going to miss? Is it the awful football? Is it the wing backs? I'm not going to miss anything, guys.
The only thing that's going to come out of that, Sav, is ENIC out.
Of course it will. But why would I miss? Look, I'm going to put this out there right now. The most successful manager we've ever had, not Tottenham's most successful manager, the most successful manager that's ever managed this football club is Jose Mourinho. Factually, right? This man has got 35 trophies. He's more decorated than our entire club, right? Yeah. We didn't back him. Why are we backing this guy who's not as good in the grand scheme of things? And if that hasn't made people sit up and go, yeah, nothing's going to change, I don't know what will. Conte, Poch, Redknapp, AVB. Why do people think this man's going to get backed? What? Why? Sorry, I'm just lost for words. How people still think.
No, but the reason I want Poch back, Pochettino, will work on a budget that's less than Conte, and that's, to me, that's better for Tottenham. He won't demand the level of players here that Conte was going to want, because Conte is going to want 50 million pound players, 70 million pound players. Pochettino is not going to want that not going to have that kind of demand.
Have you seen how much money was spent under Pochettino?
Yeah, I did.
440 million.
Right.
Well, how can we say he wasn't back then and he will work under a budget? He's probably the manager that's had the most money spent on him.
And look how many players he brought in.
Yeah.
Don't you just love football?
Quantity over quality. It's always been that way at Tottenham Hotspurs. Quantity over quality.
Hang on a minute. We spent 60 million on Ndombele. We spent 45.
Yeah, and who's willing to pay 60 million pounds for a player that's just come out of the French league? Go and buy an experienced player, man. If you want to pay 60 million pounds on a player, go and buy Milinkovic-Savic.
We spent 45 on Davinson Sanchez.
Yeah, don't need to do that.
Are you telling me that was a Levy decision? That was
hey. He's a young up-and-coming player at Ajax. He had one good season, and Levy decided to pay 40 million pounds for the man. That's on Daniel Levy. He's not experienced.
Are you honestly going to sit there and tell me that Daniel Levy saw him play and said, that's the player I want, rather than being told that's the player?
Jose Mourinho played one match with Manchester United against them in the final. He told his team, take Davinson Sanchez here and go and identify Davinson Sanchez as the weak link in the Ajax team and take him out. Focus on him, and then you will win the game. Guess what happened? They focused on him, and guess what happened? They won the game.
Who picked Davinson Sanchez as a top?
Davinson Sanchez was me weak.
No, who picked him to come to Tottenham? Don't tell me it was Daniel Levy.
I don't know.
Who picked in Ndombele?
Hitting.
I get a
as far as I'm concerned,
think that Daniel Levy is like some super scout scouting these players himself.
Exactly.
No. Hitchin did that work.
Yeah.
But look, listen, the whole backed argument Look, I had this big chat with Henry about this yesterday. As I said, we work together, so you can imagine we talk football like 4 hours at work, boring everyone on the team. This whole is a manager being backed. That word is so subjective, it's unreal. Being backed for what? I.e., has Conte been backed with enough to finish top 4? I would argue, yes. I would. Has he been backed with enough to go and win a league?
No.
No. Right? Poch at the time, was he backed enough to keep getting Champions League football?
Yes.
Yes. Was he backed to win a league?
No.
No. So for me, I think when we talk about is the manager being backed, what does that mean for each manager at each different club at each stage in their career? Right? For me, the moment, listen, I'll be honest, I had a moment of weakness, right? I had a moment of weakness with the board when they got bought in Mourinho, and I thought, they're finally going big. Yeah, this was my moment of, this is the moment that made me never, ever trust them again. I thought, they're going big. They're getting us the most decorated manager of the last 25 years or whatever he was. And when they didn't back him, so to speak, when I saw them giving him Gedson, Bergwijn, Roden, Hart, Doherty, right? When I'm seeing that, that's the moment where I went, nah, never again am I trusting these guys. If you don't back Jose, who are you backing? Now, what's Jose done since he left Tottenham?
Go and win a trophy, go and win the Europa Conference League here that our fans looked down on and said, well, we don't want to win that Europa Conference League. He won it in his first season at Roma as Roma manager. Look where they are in the league in Italy.
But again, Brazen Bull has said, Savva, I really dispute you ever saying Kane being an idiot. The guy is a legend, irrelevant of whether Levy hasn't built a team around him. That's not Kane's fault. Big up Kane. Hang on. I think you're missing the point. I love Kane to the point where I want him to go and win trophies. Yeah, I said he would be an idiot to sign again. Yeah. Another one that's seen manager after manager after manager. He's seen that we don't build. If he signs another contract, again, I will sit there and think, dude, this is on you. What do you expect to be different? And then Brazen Bull again has said, Brazen Bull, calm down, man. Honestly, I appreciate it, but you don't have to spend all your money on me. Said, say Kane hasn't been backed. Fair play, but say Kane is idiot gets under my skin. No. Listen. I feel like you've completely taken what I've said out of context. Yeah, I want Kane to go because I don't think that he's ever going to achieve anything at Tottenham Hotspur.
Brother, do you not see a trend in our system? We've had players here like Modric, Bale, even Kevin and Kudu's won more trophies than Harry Kane. That's sad, man. He was a poor player for us, but he's won more trophies than Harry Kane. Are you having a laugh?
I mean,
Bale had to leave to win a trophy. Modric had to leave to win a trophy. We've had it through many years, and I'm not saying this Innick here. From Alan Sugar days, we've had people having to leave here to go and be successful somewhere else. That's sad, man.
I agree, and nothing's changed. I think for me, guys, what do you think of this? For me, I think where Daniel Levy and Innick are very, very clever. Let's be fair, it's Levy. Where Levy is very clever is he knows just how to get people back on side at the right time, right? So when he brings in Conte, a lot of our fans immediately go, "What in Conte? We're going to win things. This guy's a winner," but not realizing that it doesn't really actually. One man's not changing anything. You know? Do you know what I mean? Like you can get the manager, but if you don't get the players, it doesn't really matter whether you've got Ferguson in charge, Wenger, Klopp. Did you see what I mean?
I mean, what we've got to remember is when we took on Conte, we say he hasn't been backed, and I know this is a slightly left field type thing. He was backed in the sense of we brought all his backroom staff in. We gave him some players, same as Mourinho. Mourinho came out on that transfer window and said, "This was a good transfer window." Now, again, we talk about Bergwijn wasn't a bad player. He's done quite well. He's moved on. He always plays well for Holland. And we're sat here now saying, well, he's in front of Danjuma, whatever he's called. We're slating off a player that's apparently better than a player we've just bought, but yet you know, it just baffles my mind that, look, what will be, will be. We'll either...
Can I ask you a question? Sorry, there. 2 seconds ago, there was this question from Moti HFC. Can I just go back to it?
This one?
No. The one about we're in the Conference League, yeah, and we it's beneath us. That one.
I read this in 2 different ways.
Right now, I hate that, you know, because after 15 years, yeah, beggars can't be choosers, Rubai. It's 15 years since we won a trophy. So sit down.
Yeah. I mean, to me, doesn't matter what it was, we should have played to win it. And we should have won that.
Look, but again, look, under Conte, we lost to Moura.
Right.
And, you know, I'm sorry, at some point, look, guys, I am going to end the show in 5 minutes. So if anyone's got any last points they want to make, look, it's our club feels like it's always fractured. I don't think anyone's particularly right, anyone's wrong. We all want what's best, and I think we all come at it from different angles, but essentially we all want the same thing, right? Yeah. We just want to see a plan, a structure, some solid players coming in. But what we can't do, I'm sorry, I'll end the show how I started it. Guys, the hate I've seen for this Danjuma before he's even kicked a ball is shocking. I'm seeing fans who shows, and one of the YouTube channels watched the other day, someone bringing up all his stats from across the last 6-7 years to demonstrate why he's absolutely crap and should never, ever start in front of Heung-min Son. And you think to yourself, guys, if you can't understand that this is a 6-month loan because Brian Hill's about to leave the club, I don't know what to say. It's another thing to batter the managers.
So you mean the same way as we all slated off Kulusevski and Bentancur before they came in, and yet everybody says how great they are now?
Absolutely. Look, for me, I said it earlier, I want to see him start tomorrow against Preston, grab a couple of goals, shut a few people up, and then what I want is to see Conte have the balls to leave him in the team.
Sav, what do you think is going to happen over the next 6 months? Well, seriously, what do you see happening? I really want to know what you think.
In terms of what?
Just in terms of our club, like, do you think that, okay, so Conte walks, do you think that Levy will be like a Thomas Frank hire, you know, change it from within, let us go a few fallow seasons? Like, do you think Levy has that in him? Or do you think, nope, it'll be Conte out and then, I don't know, you know, whatever big name, Luis Enrique, or you know what I mean, whatever big name-ish manager he can get in the summer type of thing, and rinse and repeat?
He will pull the trigger the moment that top 4 is looking like it can't be done.
Okay.
And he will hope for a manager bounce. In terms of if he does go and who we're bringing in, for me, I don't want it to be. Listen, I love Luis Enrique's style of football, but I don't want it to be an Enrique, a Simeone. I don't want it to be a top manager that wins things.
You want to rebuild. Yeah.
Because that manager's going to have to build either way. And these top managers, we're just going to go through this cycle of managers calling out the owners for not getting what they want. We'll have a bounce when they first join. Then we'll dip off, and then it'll be the same problems as always.
So, Savva, do you think that Levy will ever have the gonads to be able to do what you're saying we need to do? Or do you think it will be literally years of Luis Enrique type managerial signings, one after the other? You know what I'm talking about? In other words, just like literally like we're in purgatory or like on a hamster wheel.
Yeah. For me, though, look, for me, it kind of makes sense. The theory I said kind of seems like Levy would love that. But on the other hand, we all know that top 4 is his aim, to get the Champions League money. So, look, I don't see how this ends. I really don't see how this cycle stops. I don't. All I know is that it's not gonna end well. I've got that. Look, 40 years I've supported Spurs. And anyone who supported Spurs this long knows you get a feeling in your stomach when you know it's the beginning of the end of something, whether that be a manager or a player, or you just know the noise becomes so much that you go, yeah, I've watched this film 100 times. I know the ending. And that's where I was at with Conte in the summer. I said it in the summer. This guy,
you did
it's not
say
going to
it.
work. Not going to work.
I mean, the only thing I would say with Tottenham and where we go over the next 6 months, and I know a lot of people in the chat and everything will disagree with me. We've got to get behind the team. There's a time and a place to do the protests and things like that, and I don't agree with them, but I don't disagree with them because they're passionate about what they're saying. But to me, once that whistle blows, we should be behind the team. Protest before it, protest after it, protest at halftime. I don't care. But while them players are playing, there's no wonder they don't want to play for our team because we're booing them, we're slating them off left, right, and centre. And I know there maybe isn't any other way, and people will say this is what we've got to do, and I get all that. But to me, once that whistle blows, get behind the fucking team.
I agree.
Yeah, and that's why I big up Stelios and them man on the away fans on the Monday when they were celebrating Fulham. Yeah, you can see them getting behind the team, but they're also both at the same time, giving their opinions of the owners, and that I agree with.
Yes,
I kind of disagree with you there because they were singing all the way through the first half, and you could hear it well and truly over Sky Sports.
Mm-hmm.
But you could also see that the players could hear it as well. So that doesn't give them a great feeling. Now, I'm not saying don't sing it, and I'm not saying don't protest. But to me,
there's a time and a place.
You've got. I mean, look at last year against Arsenal. That atmosphere in that stadium was electric.
Yes.
That was probably one of the best games I've seen our players play. And you kind of knew we were going to win. This year against Arsenal, no, it was a different atmosphere.
Let me ask you though, Soren. It doesn't. Listen, I agree with you, but again, playing devil's advocate and Brazen Bull, mate, you must be rich. Thank you very much.
Big up, Brazen Bull.
There's a sugar daddy.
Listen, if you keep putting in like this, I can give up work and do YouTube full time.
Yeah. Go for another hour, Sav.
If Levy puts on a Spurs shirt semi-naked on the skydive holding a placard saying sorry Spurs fans or sign a top cross centre back and borrow this window, I'd be brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Look, thank you very much. Brazen Bull, honestly, please don't do any more, but thank you so much. For me, I think I'll sit on the fence with this one. Sorry. Yeah, get behind the players at the game. But isn't there an element that so many fans are so bored of what they're watching on the pitch that it becomes, we're watching this again, 10 men behind the ball.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna sit in and let the other team have the ball against us. Isn't there an element of that?
Yeah, but let me ask you a question. And this is a genuine question, and I could be totally wrong. How much of this Enoch out was going on when Poch was playing really nice football and we was getting to semi-finals and finals under a manager that apparently wasn't backed? Right. I mean, there might have been there. I don't know. But now we're playing shit football. It's everywhere. Now, is it the football that we don't like, or is it the owners that we? I mean, and I know it's the owners that we don't like. But
having Conte here, I think, has made a lot of fans that weren't Enoch or Levy out suddenly realise, well, hang on. We didn't back Jose. We're now not backing this guy who's a winner as well. Right, we've had enough. And I get that. But at the same time, I understand what you're saying. Like when we were playing well under Poch, where were all the Levy and Enoch people out then?
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong.
I know there will have been some. You know, those that are really passionate probably were there, but it was certainly a very small minority. You look at it now. I mean, if all of a sudden we won the FA Cup this year, and I'm not saying it's going to go away, but say we won the FA Cup and say we won the Champions League or one or the other, it would certainly quieten down again. But it's the same.
It wouldn't quieten me down.
Yeah.
Ever since the 500 days and the lack of ambition from this club, and it seems like the fans are paying 2,000, 200 all that money. No.
But you've got to forget it because we don't know what Poch asked for.
I don't care. But that's lack of ambition from anybody.
Saying he doesn't want any players, how can you blame the bloody board?
Do you know what, Phil? What Soren's saying is true. There are, so you know Graham, who used to come on the shows with me. Right. So Graham was one of the was the head of the academy at Charlton Athletic for donkey's years. So he had connections everywhere in the game. And he's got a few good friends at Southampton. And I remember when Poch joined, that they all said, look, he's a good coach, but has said no to so many players.
Mm-hmm.
He wants a small, knitted group of players, that he can pick the same 11, have a few subs that he regularly uses.
Mm-hmm.
And they said that he wasn't actually great at speaking to the players that weren't in his 11. Now, look, this could be complete nonsense, but it's come from...
It was said a lot when Poch was there.
It makes sense because what you do hear a lot of from Spurs is that he didn't want players. So when we're all going sign players,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so many reports that he actually said, no, I don't need anyone. I'm now, again, we're just football fans. We could debate this all day long.
Mm-hmm.
None of us know the truth. But what happened was, Poch, this is the thing for me, Poch's painful rebuild comment only came when he started doing really poorly. Right?
Yeah, true.
So for me, if you wanted that painful rebuild and you realised years before that Walker's left, now when Yarma's left and Dembele, why was he not saying it for me 2 years before? Why? Because he was finishing second or third. Right? It was only when the team stopped playing for him or he stopped caring, whatever, that it was, I need a painful rebuild. Well, first of all, you can't rebuild from a team that never won anything.
That's true. It's just building.
It's a build. Second of all, why did he wait so long to say it? He got to like 5.5 years and then he says it.
Yeah,
I don't know. There's more to that than meets the eye for me.
Yeah, I think so too, Savva. But even that, for me, that I look at Pochettino for that as well. Like I said to you, I don't blame just one element of the club, but from the hierarchy themselves, I have to blame Enoch and Levy, because even if he didn't want it or didn't need it, or you need to freshen your squad every now and then so that you can, because if you don't refresh your squad, right, it gets stale, Savva. People start getting complacent and it gets stale.
But just again, playing devil's advocate. So we all know, and as fans, I mean, I was the same, shouting, why aren't we signing anybody? Why aren't we signing anybody? So say Poch is saying we don't need to sign anybody for 3 windows, which is to us now, on hindsight,
it's wickedly too long.
Yeah, but then when he said we need to sign some players, we started to sign, and Ndombele, Lo Celso, he was backed at that point when he came out and said it. Now, Mourinho also came out and said he wanted a smaller squad. He didn't want a big squad because he will play with certain players. So how do we blame, again, Levy and that for doing what Mourinho might have asked for?
Because Mourinho asked for Castagna, and was given Doherty.
Hang on. If that's true, then, Anthony, I think you're Anthony, why is Conte coming out telling us that managers do speak the truth? We don't. We all sit here and speculate what is and isn't said. We don't know. No,
I can't think that Poch wanted nobody in for 500 days. I think that's absurd.
All right then. So again, devil's advocate. So if Poch did want somebody, why didn't we sign a crap player in those windows then?
Because maybe he didn't want the crap player. Maybe he was basically.
But how do we know he didn't want anybody? How do we know he did want somebody? That's the problem. We don't know. We're speculating again. But
that's like saying, how do we know that your son at Christmas wants presents? Maybe he doesn't. So if you don't get it. Can I switch, Savva, while I have you? I know I'm crystal balling you, but there's one last question that's been burning a hole in me because you've had issues with it since you've been doing your stream, Savva, and I really respect your thoughts. So I want to know, just please tell me what you think, not what you want, not what you hope to happen, what you think will happen. And that's the fucking elephant in the room. What do you think is going to happen with Son? Is he done, or is he going to, you know what I mean? Is he finished as a player in your opinion? Or is this just a blip, a bad season, a bad 6 months? What does your gut tell you about our second biggest star and possibly biggest star worldwide on our team? I mean, Youngman's Son is not a small subject. Well, what do you think has happened with this player?
Look, the word blip, I hear this a lot, like bad form, blip. My question to that would be, how long do you have to be this bad before it's not a blip and it's actually just the player you are now? Equally, there's very few cases where players have fallen off a cliff like this. So we saw it with Fernando Torres, for example. Dele Alli fell off a cliff. For me, again, I'm going to go back to what I said earlier in the stream about Poch. Could it be that it's just that he's been here this long, that fight's gone, that hunger's gone, that everything's the same? It's the same noises. It's the same thing every year. He knows they're not winning things, right? Could it be that without, I'm not saying downing tools, I don't think that's the right term. Could it just be that he's got to the stage where maybe he needs a new challenge? And that's not just Son. That's all of us in life, right? You work for a company. If you're there 6-7 years, you've had the same voice, the same colleagues, and you go, I need a new challenge in my life. I don't know. It could be that. It could be that he scores a hat-trick over the weekend, and then we suddenly see Heung-min Son banging 15 goals for the last 17 games. All I know is that this can't continue. Like, for me, I've said it all along. You cannot replace a Harry Kane, right? Because goals and the creativity, his passing, dropping back, you cannot replace that with one player. I don't care if anyone wants to try and volunteer a player, we'll have that chat. You can replace a Heung-min Son. You can find wide forwards that score goals.
Agreed.
Right. So for me, I would if it doesn't pick up in the back half of this year, I would cash in on Heung-min Son whilst he's still got a number of years on his contract. Whilst you can get, I don't know how much is a Heung-min Son.
That's about 78 million.
80. And
yeah, because it's 30, isn't it?
Right. And
even if he goes on in the form that he has and scores and finishes the season with like 8 goals, they'll get 80 million.
I think they will because of his marketing, because of the marketing he takes to a club.
Okay.
Not for his form. I mean, on form, how much would you pay? Here's a question. Henry said this to me yesterday. I think it was Henry. Said, all these people saying they wouldn't want Danjuma to start over Son, right? Even though Son's in the form he's in. If Spurs went and signed a player who's in Son's form, what would we be saying? If we were right now going out and buying Heung-min Son from another club, but he's got the form that he's got with us this year, what would our fans be saying?
Exactly. If he played for Southampton and it was him, and yeah, I agree.
I mean, guys, I'm so sorry. I need to go. This is
all right. Cool. Got to go anyway.
Okay.
Oh, I was
just dropped out of the stream.
I was going to say, if you look at our team, how many of our players, when we score a goal, do you think really look enthusiastic anymore? I mean, we celebrate, but we don't seem to have that.
Yeah.
You know, that we all sit there, you know, I mean, as fans, we all, come on. Yeah. The players, you know, you see Harry Kane, and even when he does his run and jump, you know, it doesn't seem as though the enthusiasm's there anymore.
Part of that's probably because VAR is going to take the goal back, but yes.
Well, there is that, but I just don't.
No, but I agree with you. I agree.
I just don't think as a team we're playing as a team anymore. You know, you saw it last year when if Kane scored, Son was the first person there. Agreed. If Son scored, Kane was the first person there. It's not like that this year. There is something fundamentally wrong, and we're not going to go where everybody else goes. There is something wrong within the system that's played, and that's down to the manager and the players.
Something rotten. Yeah.
Guys, sorry about that. I do need to end the show now. But listen, it's been 3.5 hours of solid Spurs talk. Didn't even get to Preston, so I'm sure I'll stream tomorrow at some point. Thank you very much, especially big up Brazen Bull, big up to everyone else who put in a super chat, everyone in the chat who's commented. I like it. All the debates being nice and clean. No one's been calling anyone else an idiot. It's been great. Soren, thank you very much. Anthony, thank you for coming on. Phil, as always.
Savva, my Spurs shirt, my friend.
What?
I want a Spurs shirt in your 24-hour stream.
Yeah, message me, Phil. All right. We'll sort it out.
Take care, guys.
Sorry. Thanks, everyone. Take care. We'll see you soon.
All right, see you. Bye.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.